Ninja Turtle!
Hey everybody, welcome to the Let's Talk Movies podcast with John and David. I am John, that is David, aka Shamrock Balls, and today here on the show we are going to be covering Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990. And how you doing today, David?
John, I'm doing fine. What about yourself?
Can't complain.
Yeah. Well, just before we start, John, I just want to tell you that I'm loyal to the Let's Talk Movies podcast, and we're a family.
We are a family here, and you're my master.
Never bow to an enemy.
Respect.
So we're gonna have some turtle power, and just gonna power through this episode here because I think it's gonna be a good one. I think it's gonna be a long one.
I did too. I mean, there's a lot to cover with this one. As I've told you in the past, I was not the biggest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles kid growing up. I really had the only attachment was to this film right here, and to the video game Turtles in Time. Wasn't a fan of the animated series. It just never got into it. And the sequels, they were okay, but this movie was actually pretty special to me as a child. I don't know about you.
Yeah, well, I was actually going to ask you, because you always throw it to me first, about what do you actually think about this movie, because like you've only seen it a handful of times. Is that right?
So I watched it a lot. I had the VHS, the 3 VHSs as a kid. I had them, and me and my brother, I just have a very distinct memory actually of one morning. We got up early, and my dad and my stepmom were still sleeping, and we put this on and we watched it, like, all before they woke up. But we, a bunch of times as a kid watching this movie, and I just hadn't seen it other than when the 4K Blu-ray came out from Arrow. Probably that was the first time I'd probably seen it in this millennium, honestly.
Right. Okay. Well, I have a different bit of history with it. I have a more of a kind of attached history to it, because again, like I talked about Batman '89, where like I just came along just at the right age for me. So I was like turning 8 years of age in 1989, and that movie came out, and I loved that. And then of course the next big movie that I remember coming out around that time was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So yeah, so I was very excited about this movie coming along, because I was a fan of the cartoon series as well. Yeah. And I remember actually me and my younger brother going to my cousin's to watch it on VHS, because he had a pirated copy of it before it was even released here. And we watched it on his television, the pirated copy. So that was very exciting. And I remember enjoying the movie. And then I remember as well, I had the Turtles poster, but it was a smaller version of the poster from the movie. I had that framed and on the wall. I think somebody bought me it for my birthday, I think. I can't remember how I got it. Somebody bought me it, and it was framed on my wall for years. And I can still picture it now. John had like a thin gold frame, so it did, and it was that classic poster art there, and it said, "Lean, mean," and on the screen. I loved it. I loved looking at the turtles coming out of the sewer, looking up at the night sky and the Empire State Building and everything. It was amazing. And unfortunately, when my bedroom was getting decorated, it was taken down off the wall, and it was sitting in the hallway, and my older brother accidentally hit it with his foot, and it fell and it smashed. So yes, I wasn't there for the smashing. I remember coming home, I think from school or something, coming in the house and seeing, and asking what happened to this, and being told, your brother hit it with his foot, knocked over, it smashed. And I was gutted, and I was told it'll be fine, it just doesn't have glass in it. And I hung it back up the wall, but it was never the same, because then the poster kind of went wavy and stuff, and it just kind of I ended up having to throw it out.
You sound like the dad from A Christmas Story.
Yeah, I know, it still hurts to this day. You can guarantee that if that hadn't have broke, I probably would have still had that to this day.
Oh, I know you would have. You would have absolutely had that in the archives with all your other movie posters. That's a shame.
It is a shame, but I also remember as well about that time, because it was like Turtle Mania. Like every kid was like into the Turtles.
Oh yeah,
and
that was the whole thing. That's why it's like crazy. Like I people had the backpacks, the lunch boxes. I mean, like I was in elementary school, people loved the Turtles, and it was crazy. As I was like, I don't really like them as much, but I really did love this movie.
Yeah, and the thing was that I remember like the toys. I remember like that Christmas. I don't know if it was 91, might have been 91 because it was just or maybe 90 when the movie just came out. Right, that Christmas, every kid wanted the Turtles toys. The one and you couldn't get them anywhere. They were sold out. And I was begging my mom. I begged her and I begged her and begged her for me to get it for one of the Turtles figures for my birthday, and she couldn't get them. And eventually, she came home with like a knockoff. And
Oh my God.
I was disgusted, but I still opened it, and it just wasn't as good. I remember it was Donatello, and it was he wasn't even my favorite. And as I say, yeah, he was just it was just yeah, it was a knockoff. And then that Christmas, I remember like getting up with my Santa presents, and there was like a me and my younger brother, very close in age. Part of our presents from Santa was a Donatello and a Michelangelo, like plastic mask. And I remember I had Michelangelo's on my kind of presents, and he had Donatello on his, and I remember we swapped. I like the purple. And even though Donatello, I said there wasn't my favorite, but I like the purple headband rather than the orange, and or bandana. So yeah, so I have very fond memories of this actual movie, but it was many years before, like yourself, before I seen it again. I seen it again. I think it might have been, well, I might have seen it on Sky Movies, but I might have had it on tape on Sky Movies. But I remember I bought it on DVD.
Hmm.
Must have been around the early 2000s, and just thought this is just a really cool movie. It's dark, it's gritty, it's it's funny. There's a bit of a seriousness to it. There's got a heart, and forgot about it again for a load of years. And then my daughter came along, and then this was a movie that I happened to show her, and then she loved it. So over the last 10 years, I've watched this movie many times. Let's put it like that.
Well, that's always what happens. I'm glad that your daughter enjoys this movie as much too, just showing this to a younger generation, because this movie does feel like it's just a staple of the 1990s and 1990s New York as well. Like just the way it looks, and a lot of movies coming out around that time, which I know we're going to get into. It's just that
Yeah,
it's funny now. Like this movie's what, 36 years old at this point, which is
I know.
insane. Actually makes me a little nauseous because, like I said, I had the VHS, and we've gone through VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, and now they're on 4K Blu-ray. Man, time.
I know, and I never had this on original VHS. So I mean, I remember seeing it, as I say, that time on the pirated version, but I'm bound to have seen it again in between then, and I can't remember where. I might have had it in VHS taped off the television in between. And one thing that always stuck with me was the ending where Shredder runs at Splinter with a spear, and something happens. It happens so quick, and the next thing is he throws Shredder over the wall, and Shredder just falls straight into the garbage truck. And I was like, that was a bit odd, but it was cool. Very much like Batman 89 at the end. Didn't think anything of it. But then when I watched it later on in later years on the TV, I was like, that looks like it was cut. And it wasn't until I got the DVD I realized I seen that part with the nunchuck. And when I put this Blu-ray on at the weekend, so first I watched the Blu-ray at the weekend. I watched the special features. Sorry, the RO Video 4K. I watched the special features, and there's the UK version, which was heavily edited, and that was the version I always seen until I bought the DVD. They added it out with him with the holding him on the edge with a nunchuck, because you weren't allowed to show nunchucks in the UK version, which was very odd.
I don't
So
get
that
that. It's also
explains
the
that.
Warrior cut as well, right? Where they replace the words, like, which is crazy. Ninja to Warrior, which is insane that they actually had to do that. I wonder why, like, that they would even do that. And well, that also explains why 2 and 3, they basically have no violence.
Yeah, well, as I said, we've been talking about this before we come on, and as I said, I eventually I went to see the second one in the cinema when it came out, and that was the only time I'd actually seen the second one. And I just wasn't impressed by that one. I had no desire to go back and watch it again. I didn't particularly like it, and so that was 30 odd years ago. I've never seen it since. And then when the third one came around, I can't remember what year that came out. 94. 90.
The
Do you
third
know?
one on 93.
93. Well, I by that stage I just wasn't interested anymore and
Now
go
these
in
these
turtles.
were in and out. Like it's crazy, and it's almost like they fumbled the ball. You had 90, 91, 93. Like they banged the trilogy out. And
Mhm.
obviously the law of diminishing returns, and then they stopped. And then you didn't get one until an animated one in '07. And then we got those two live action ones in the 2010s, which are horrible, that I don't like at least. And then more recently, I don't know if you showed it to your daughter, there was the one that Paramount did that was produced by like Seth Rogen and
Yep.
Evan Goldberg, and it's pretty good
Yep.
actually. It kind of feels like a spiritual successor to like this one in a way. Like it's a little bit more grittier, even though it's animated. But I actually enjoyed it.
Well, I brought her to the cinema to see that.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I didn't like it at all, and she didn't even like it either.
No,
No,
I liked it.
she did. At one stage, she actually was turning, looking at me like this, and I looked at her, and she stared at me, and I said to her, "This is rubbish, isn't it?" And she went, "Yeah."
Well, it's a good father-daughter moment. At least you guys came to the same
So there you
conclusion.
go. It got to the stage where I felt like she wanted to leave, but we stayed to the end. Forgettable. Wasn't interested. The originals the best by far. And I always remember MTV had the Turtles on promoting the third one, and they were dressed like rock stars. And I remember sitting looking at that at the time, even as a kid, and going, "What the hell's going on here?" And they were advertising the third one, and I remember seeing the trailer on MTV and kind of going, "Nah, I'll give that one a miss." 1983, John, we had Jurassic Park to go and see. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you didn't have to go see this with their my God, the suits might have got a little better, but their time travel, other than a good backdraft joke, which I think is pretty funny and also dates the movie because I don't know how many people really care about backdraft, but I love backdraft, and that was the thing I got. That was my biggest takeaway when I rewatched 3 was, oh, good, clever backdraft joke. Didn't care about anything else.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't tell anything about it. So, as you were saying there about it being just so of the 90s, this was like the start off the back of Batman. This was the start of these slew of like comic book movies that started to be produced because Batman was so successful. It was such a phenomenon. We had Batmania, we had Turtle Mania. Dick Tracy, I think, came out the same year. I remember watching that on Sky Movies and loving that movie. I really loved it, but I haven't seen it since. And then you had like the likes of, like, say we're going towards a darker tone. We have The Crow.
Hmm.
There was The Shadow as well, wasn't there? With
Yeah,
Alec Baldwin. Uh
yeah,
huh.
a little lesser, like quality than the other ones.
Yeah, and then we had The Mask.
Yep. That's why I put those movies, lined them up, all New Line movies from the 90s, so New Line cinema, like even Spawn kind of down there, like on the late end of it. And even the Mortal Kombat movies in the middle, they all kind of had that similar tone. And it's just honestly, it shows something that they just don't do anymore. Is like, yes, the suits might look a little dated in this, but like they
Mhm.
built these sets and they created these worlds, and it's just something that they don't do anymore. And it just drives me absolutely nuts. Like I watched a movie yesterday called Send Help, and like, it's a pretty good modern film, but the CGI, it just takes me out of it so bad, so much. And like I would prefer the shitty rubber suits
Yeah,
and the real practical sets any day over CGI.
yeah, 100%. And I think, that's part of the charm of this movie for me, John, is that it's well shot. I think it's well directed as well.
Hmm.
And because they actually okay, there's sets, but they used footage from they went and shot in New York as well,
Hmm.
which gives it a credibility that a lot of other movies don't. With they go and maybe shoot in a different city and dress it like New York. This was actually shot in New York, apart from the sound stages that they built to look like New York. So it has that wee bit of credibility about it. But as you say, I would take these kind of animatronic kind of rubber suits over CGI any day, over animation any day, because the actors have something to kind of work off, they act off, and even though they went through a lot of difficulties with the suits and the animatronics and things like that, they kept doing it until they got it right, and it makes for a better movie, and again, I mean, Jim Henson says this was the most complicated animatronic that I'd ever worked on. So they were kind of he was pushing the boundary a bit. But again, this is all just a couple of years before Jurassic Park and a couple of years before the CGI revolution.
Yeah, that kind of changed it. I mean, but we had that slow transition where it was like, they kind of were combining CGI with still using animatronics. And then by like the late 90s, early 2000s, they went full CGI. And I would say that those films, the late 90s, early 2000s films, are more dated than a movie like this because
Yeah.
like CGI, you can't go back. I mean, you could go back and fix it, but it costs so much money. But it really dates the technology of the time.
Yeah, it does. And look, yes, you could say that looks like a suit, but I think out of the first three from the scenes that I've seen from the other two movies and stuff, these ones here look the realist, and I think a lot of that is to do with the design of the suits, the way they've painted the turtles, also the design of the actual heads, especially compared to the clips I've seen of the third one. But it's also the way the director shoots it very darkly as well. This
Yes.
masks a lot of things. Ridley Scott done it with Alien.
It covers a lot. It does, and honestly, that's always a better thing is when they cover it with the darkness. Honestly, it helps this movie stand out compared to like I know you only saw the once, but you got the 4K there. If you were to pop in two,
Hmm.
it's like all they purposely like wanted to make everything brighter and lighter, almost like like going from like candy. They wanted it all to like
Hmm.
be eye grabbing, which is fine. But it's like this one when you watch it, it is dark and it is gritty, and you don't want to trade that. And unfortunately, they did. They like almost like
Yeah.
bent the knee to like like to appeal to everybody. Like you said over there, they couldn't show the nunchucks or anything, which I don't understand. But it's like that's kind of like what they're going for. But the darkness also does help you with a lot of coverage.
Yeah, and I'm led to believe that the director actually had this ongoing battle with the studio because the studio wanted to lighten it up, make it more like the cartoon, and he was saying, "No, we want to make it more like the comic books." Now, I have the omnibus of the original comics, but I've never read them. I've always wanted to. That's why I bought it. Do you know what I mean? But I've never got round to it. I've never got round to actually reading them. But apparently, they were a lot more violent, a lot more serious, kind of like maybe like The Mask, and that there was a bit of conflict there, so they had to try and find a happy medium, which I'll get into in the production here. But once we touch on that, let's go into this. We should maybe go into it. But one
Yeah.
thing I want to say first of all is that we talk about those early kind of comic book movies and things like that. This is a movie which New Line Cinema distributed in the United States, and this movie made a lot of money. And for me, it was almost like New Line Cinema was known as the house that Freddy built because that was the home of Nightmare on Elm Street movies, very successful horror franchise in the 80s. They then bought the rights to this. This made a hell of a lot of money, and this was the stepping stone then for them to go on and make movies like The Mask and then the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Yeah, New Line was a studio to be reckoned with in the 1990s, and they were like a true independent studio, shelling out the money. And then it's a shame, like now they're just a property of Warner Brothers, which is being bought by Netflix or Paramount, depending, if they
Yeah.
get that hostile takeover. It's like it's a shame to see a studio like this that had such prominence, just 30 years ago, be just like a sub studio of Warner Brothers.
Yeah, it's sad because they were an independent studio that for as I will get into here in the production, it was a small studio that would take a risk, and they mightn't have the big backing behind them, but they were able to but they would do what they can to try and bring someone's vision or idea to the screen to the best of their ability, when all these other studios were saying no. And it happened all the time. It happened to Wes Craven in the original Nightmare on Elm Street. Do you know what I mean? It happens to directors all the time, or writers all the time, when they have an idea for a movie. And these big studios won't take the risk, and a smaller studio does. And then these movies kind of become, I don't want to say phenomenons, but they become very popular, or they kind of change the trajectory of something, the likes of like a comic book movie or a horror genre or something like that.
Yeah, 100%. That was there's not many places that people can turn to. I guess the most equivalent now today would be like A24 as far as like a sub, like, kind of a major studio that people are willing to give smaller artists like take a risk on it. But the major studios never will. They want to do something that's a guarantee.
So the budget of this movie, John, was apparently $13.5 million.
That's not bad. That'd be like what, like 30 million today?
God, I don't know what it would be today. So I'm not sure. I haven't got my inflation calculator. You know,
I don't got a lot around.
no, I don't have it on me. But when you think about last week, I think we talked about Misery being what 20 odd million.
Yeah, which is crazy. Like where the like this one definitely looks like the money went. We know where the money went in this one, but there's no big name actors really in it too.
Yeah. So it was Irish-born director Steve Barron,
Oh,
who was,
really?
he was born in Dublin. He's born in Dublin. He's born in Dublin.
Okay,
Um, who was primarily a music video director.
you know
Mhm.
what? That honestly sometimes works out for some people. Look at Michael Bay and David Fincher.
Yeah, well, he directed such videos as Aha, Take On Me.
Ah, that's a good one.
Yeah. Michael Jackson, Billie Jean.
That's a classic.
It's a classic.
That's a classic.
And what about this for a classic? Dire Straits, Money for Nothing.
Money ain't for nothing but great song.
And your chicks for free. Well, he heard about the project through a friend who worked for Golden Harvest, a Hong Kong production and distribution company, who were interested in adapting Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird's comic books, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, into a movie with either animation or puppetry.
I like the route they went.
Mm-hmm. So they brought Barron on board to direct. He wasn't sure about the initial script, but he discussed the project with the legendary Jim Henson of Muppets fame. He also done Fraggle Rock. Do you remember Fraggle Rock?
I do remember Fraggle Rock.
Yeah.
Did he also do the David Bowie movie? What was that movie? Labyrinth?
Labyrinth, I think he did, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
no, great, probably the greatest puppeteer we ever had.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And like, I just laugh when I was doing my notes on this, how Steve Barron he just happened to be friends with these people. It just shows you how much about it's who you know, not what you know.
Oh yeah, exactly. You got lucky.
As I say, sorry, Barron was friends with Jim Henson, but he wasn't sure about the project due to its content. But he said he could do the puppetry away from his own studio. But Barron assured him that the tone would be sweet, heartfelt, and about family.
I think he nailed that.
Because I think maybe the earlier draft of the script was more maybe in line with the comic books, very dark, very violent. And Jim Henson doing things like the Muppets and Fraggle Rock and all these family friendly type stuff, he probably didn't want to be associated with it or a studio. So he thought, well, look, I'll do it away from there for you, as a friend. But he was like, no, we're going to change the tone. He says he sensed that it was actually the tone that he didn't like, and he was going to try and change the tone for him. But he says there about family. Now, one thing that I've always thought about this movie, John, rather than just family, I've always felt this movie is about fathers and sons.
No, that's a good point too, because especially it's not just the Turtles and Splinter, but you also got Danny and his father.
Well, you have Danny and his father, and you have Shredder, who literally says, "I am your father." So he's
That's
becoming
true.
like, even though it's like it's a bad example or a bad role model, but he's becoming a surrogate father to all these lost boys in the city, all these boys that have kind of lost their way and are looking for something and looking to look up to something or want to be part of something. So in my opinion, it's not really about family, even though they say that. For me, it's more about fathers and sons. Splinter, the Turtles, Shredder, the Foot Clan, and Danny and his father.
I agree, and I have a lot to say about Danny and his father when
Yeah.
we get into the film.
Yeah, yep. Looking forward to it, mate. But I mean, we think about it, like April's there, but there's no real mother figures in the movie.
No, she's more like a friend to them, and she refers to them as her friends. We kind of get the little sub-romantic arc with her and Casey Jones in here.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Even she describes him as a 9-year-old boy.
Yeah. Would you say
So
9-year-old boy trapped in a man's body?
in a man's body. So there we have another boy. Okay, I know that's a romantic interest, but there's another boy, right? Who he's like the older brother. He's like the Turtles. He's like the older brother who he's like Josh out of the Goonies or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So Barron hired Todd W. Langan, who had worked on The Wonder Years, to rewrite the script, and he hired the cast while Hansen worked on the turtle suits. The story is based mainly on the early comics, including the Turtles' origin, their stay at the farmhouse, and the battle with Shredder. It incorporates elements from the 1980s cartoons, such as the Turtles' colored bandanas, love of pizza, and April O'Neil's occupation as a reporter. As I touched on earlier on, John, every major studio in America turned the movie down to distribute until New Line Cinema, known for the Nightmare on Elm Street series, picked it up for $2 million, which Barron said was enough to expand the budget to get the film made.
See, that's what New Line does, baby.
Well, I think they had a certain amount. He had said that that Golden Harvest they distribute, I think, in Asia, right? So they had the rights, but they needed distributors throughout, say, Europe and America.
US.
Yeah, and he says they were a con and they'd made deals for the likes of Germany and other countries in Europe, but this says that they needed one for America to get the film made. And they said New Line, of course, when they offered $2 million, they took it, so they bought the rights to it, and that was enough money to kind of get enough budget that they could actually start making the movie.
It's funny because when I recently watched all these John Woo movies, and Golden Princess, a Hong Kong studio, was talking about, like, to get a lot of those John Woo movies made, to get the money, he would literally just go sell the rights to the movies before it came out, like, before they produced it, to other, just to other countries, and that's usually how they would acquire the money to get the budget to actually make the movie. It's really fast. That's really what a producer's job is. It's like, get the money.
Oh yeah, exactly. And it's funny you should say it, because we done Friday the 13th in our latest episode of Axis, and it's funny that the likes of Sean Cunningham actually put an advertisement out for Friday the 13th before a script was even written, before a deal was even made, before anything, because he just wanted to see if anybody else had the title, and he done an advertisement saying Friday the 13th, a brand new horror film by Sean S. Cunningham, and as it turned out, nobody owned the title, so he had that actor advertising even before anything was done.
That's smart. And, little New Line tie into that as well, because New Line eventually acquired the rights around this exact same time for the Friday the 13th franchise.
There you go. Probably used some of the money from this. So the movie was shot primarily in North Carolina at Dino De Laurentiis' studio backlot, which featured a New York City street that needed renovated. New York rooftop sets were created. A local Air Force base would disrupt the animatronic turtle heads, making them malfunction. So when they were radio controlling the animatronic heads, whatever they were doing in the Air Force, all of a sudden the heads would start going and then just break down. So they'll have to fix the heads and then redo the shot.
That's funny.
Because of the frequency. They said it was because the suits were created in England.
Okay,
so there was
no, they couldn't prepare for something like that.
They said the frequencies are different in different countries. So the frequencies there that they tuned the animatronic heads to were different in England than they were in the States. So when they brought them over, the frequency used in the Air Force base was interfering with the heads.
Yeah. How could you possibly know that?
Could you imagine them in the Air Force base sitting there going, I can hear somebody saying, Cowabunga?
Radical.
Yeah, coming from the bloody turtles, from the studio backlot. So the crew also spent 4 days in New York City during the summer of 1989, location filming for the movie. They did go to New York, as I said, and I think that brings a lot to this movie. I really enjoy seeing those shots of New York at nighttime and stuff like that. It looks beautiful.
It does. New York during this era was absolutely beautiful. Doesn't look like that anymore, but it was beautiful all the time.
Yeah, really, really nice. So the producers pulled the film with some scenes still left to shoot. Even though Barron was happy with what he had in the can, he pleaded for $750,000 for 1 more week's work to shoot the scenes to improve the movie, which was rejected. So Jim Henson persuaded him to take it to Disney and ask for the money to finish the project. When Golden Harvest found out, they get rid of Barron.
That's messed up.
So his editor, don't know if you know this name, John, Sally Minke.
I'm not familiar.
Right. Well, she also left the project when they basically get rid of him, after she done her cut of the film. Minke would go on to work with Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, really? See, I should have
Yep.
known that then.
Yep. She edited Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction.
She's a good editor then.
Yep. And I think she was with him until she died in 2010, I think. So she edited, I think, nearly all those movies up until she died.
Actually, you know what? I recall her dying. I just couldn't. I literally don't. Just didn't. The name just didn't click when you said it.
Yeah. Well, on this amazing 4K from Arrow, Steve Barron tells this story that he was at an awards ceremony. I think it was the BAFTAs in Britain, and he says he heard the voice, Steve, and he turned and it was Sally Minke, and she says, "Oh my God, Steve, what are you doing here?" And he was like, "Oh, I'm at the awards," and she was standing with Quentin Tarantino. And she said to Tarantino, "Do you know who this is?" And he was like, "No, this is Steve Barron. He directed the Turtles." And she says, tell Steve the story you told me about Uma Thurman." And Tarantino apparently said, must have been Pulp Fiction, says when we were making Pulp Fiction, she asked who's added in the movie. And Tarantino said, Sally Menke. And she said, "Who's that?" And he says, "Sally Menke made Donatello fight." That was his response. So he says Tarantino obviously seen Turtles and loved it and hired her for Reservoir Dogs.
That's awesome. That really is. Tarantino does have good movie taste, even though he can be a dick.
Yeah, I guess it's one of his favorite movies.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of, like, his movie taste is all. I just appreciate him never being afraid to say what movies he likes. He never feels like he has to, like, be like, I only like these snooty movies. Like, nah, he'll pick like something that's absolutely insane and say he loves it.
I can imagine being though, like in his video store, when somebody at that particular time, when somebody come in and going, "You ever seen Turtles? This is really good. The editing's amazing."
Yeah. Okay, you're gonna grab the Turtles. Yeah, that's good. It's good. Yeah.
It's a good movie. It's a good movie.
It's a good movie.
Yeah. So Anyway, so back on track. Distributed by New Line. I have to work on my Tarantino impression, John.
It's hard. It's hard.
So release date 30th of March, 1990.
Right, a couple years before my birth, still.
Yep. Runtime 92 minutes.
A tight 90. Can't beat that. And it moves along at a great pace, which, credit to the editor.
Credit to the editor. It really does move along at a quick pace. It is a short movie at 1 hour and 32 minutes, but I mean, there's nothing wasted in this movie. Every scene's great. Every scene means something, I feel. And as you said, it just moves on at a great pace. And something I didn't realize till I was taking my notes, John, really good script as well.
It is a great script. It really is. And honestly, it just completely works. Like from beginning to end, the story they set up literally before the opening credits lays the groundwork for this entire movie. And it pays off.
Yeah. So we'll go into the movie then, John. We'll start with that.
Yeah, we could start right there.
Yeah. So we'll have the logo. The logo I seen on the 4K, which I couldn't remember, was the Golden Harvest presentation logo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not, I can't tell you another Golden Harvest production off the top of my head other than this. Like, honestly, I'm an idiot. Like, I thought Golden Princess, Golden Harvest, I thought they were the same company. It's just they both just happen to have golden,
Yeah. With the Golden Bowl down the road here, but it's Chinese.
Well,
yeah.
That's funny because we have Golden Chopsticks is the local Chinese food restaurant by me.
Yeah, there you go. And it's really funny because I have the DVD, which I give to my daughter. I bought the Blu-ray, right? And I was going to watch it, but we never got around it. So I opened it to take notes, and that has a different opening logo than the 4K. And I think the 4K is the original logo. The logo on the Blu-ray is basically whoever distributed the Blu-ray.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunately that does happen. I mean, I was talking to somebody about Total Recall, and somebody said, like, "Oh, I'm not buying it because it doesn't have the TriStar logo." I'm like, it's never going to have it anymore because TriStar is owned by Warner. Actually, they're owned by Sony, and unfortunately, Lionsgate has it now, and they're not going to put the TriStar logo in front anymore, which sucks because you kind of want to have the original opening like distributor logos in front, like even after that, like it just. Even the New Line logo, like it's the correct New Line logo for the time.
Yeah, but if you look at, like, for example, I was just thinking about talking about logos and stuff like Terminator 2 is Studio Canal, and that one there is like Blast Satya before it comes on, but they do that before the actual movie starts. So you've still got the Coralico opening, and you still got, you know what I mean? So they still have their own logo, but they don't change the logo.
Can I ask you something? Because I don't know if it's on your. I don't remember if the THX one has it, or if the Studio Canal one has it, or if it's only on the Extreme DVD. But do you remember with Terminator 2 when it used to have the THX
Yes.
logo and it would come together, and then the T1000 would come together on that?
He would shoot it. It would be the term. Yeah, he would shoot it with Smouse, then it would come together. Yeah, I don't think that's not on the Studio Canal. I don't think.
No, I missed that. But that was something I think that was only exclusive to like during the DVD era, I want to say. But like kind of, those are the things that kind of change as physical releases come out.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'm trying to remember that there, the Studio Canal one, because it like just blasts at you before it comes on, and they play it like about 4 times before you even get into the bloody movie.
I know.
They play it when you first put the disc on, and then they play it before the menu, and then they play it before the movie starts.
At least it's only like 2 or 3. Like back in the day, I mean, now if you go to a theater and see a movie, like there's about 12 companies that help make a movie.
I know.
Get money from everywhere. You think you're getting into it, it's like, Jesus Christ, another company?
You have like 25 minutes of adverts and then 5 minutes of companies.
Yep.
That's true. So as you say, New York City pops up on the screen. Now, something I just wasn't particularly paying attention to until I started watching it in the 4K. That's just like a still photo, because them boats aren't moving in the water.
No, you're absolutely right. It's not like in like Batman '89 where you can see things flickering and stuff to know like things are moving around. Like with their still photo of Gotham City.
Yeah, which was, as we discussed, that was a matte shot with a model at the front. They took their time to make sure that city looked real and it was breathing. But this is just like a still photo of a real city. And the boats just aren't moving.
Yeah, they're establishing shots, literally just a painting or a picture.
That's really a picture. Did you see hanging on someone's wall? Yeah,
might have been.
It probably was. Maybe it was in Dino De Laurentiis' studio. Just put the camera on that for 2 minutes. Yeah. So, but I still love seeing New York City at the start there, John, with the World Trade Centers and all.
Yeah, it's always hard now when you see that, knowing that they're not there anymore.
I know, mate. It's just it's for me, it's something which I've always just seen on movies. So like Ghostbusters and things like that, and especially in the 80s, it's very nostalgic for me, movie ways. Obviously it's different for you from yourself, who's from New York.
Yeah, when the buildings went down, you could see the smoke from where I lived. That's crazy. Yeah, I was right there. I was crazy. I always say over New York, and maybe America in general, there's pre 9/11, post 9/11. World changed.
Oh, the world changed. There was, mate. There 100% it was. But we see the city streets, and we open with a montage of crime. We see a New York Post newspaper. It says city crime escalates, and on the TV, we see April O'Neil, and she's doing a news report on the television.
So good, in fact, that there appear to be no eyewitnesses to any of these crimes.
We have this whole kind of montage here, John, of like a wallet being snatched and passed around, and we're kind of focusing on this young boy, this young ginger kid. And I could say that because I used to be a redhead. Okay, and you're a red beard. Yeah, yes, I'm allowed to take the piss out of gingers. Okay.
Yeah, we're both allowed here, all right? We can knock him out for having no souls. I literally had a guy, a customer in my regular Joe job say to me the other day, because he saw a red beard and he had one too. He's like, hey, another person with no soul. I'm like, yeah, we're out here.
Yeah. So he's in a Sid Vicious t-shirt.
Yeah, love that. And you know what's funny? You ever seen Toy Story?
Oh, yeah, I've seen Toy Story.
Now, in hindsight, I always think of Sid from Toy Story because he also wore a long black shirt, and his name was Sid.
His name was Sid, yeah.
Yeah.
Did he have red hair and braces?
No, he had brown hair, but he might have had braces. I don't think they model. It's just now because of the clothes he's wearing. It's very similar to the clothes that he's wearing, and literally it says Sid. You just notice the Sid. It's so many times, which I think it was put there to help us keep track of him going through the opening credits.
Maybe, yeah. Well, maybe you could be right, but he never beats it off in the whole movie.
No, I know he never has another shirt. This guy's stealing everything, and he freaking can't get another shirt.
He does. He can steal new clothes.
Yeah,
a new T-shirt or something. You know what I mean? At the very least. Yeah, he has it. I've written down here to an unidentified persons.
With the arm shit, like, who's that supposed to be with that?
I think it's Shredder.
Is it like is Shredder walking on the streets looking like that? I think that's what it's supposed to be. But I'm like, I can't believe that because it's daylight.
I was thinking about this earlier when I was walking the dog. 'Cause I was listening to the soundtrack and I was thinking about that scene. It was like, is Shredder just hanging on the street corner collecting all the wallets? It's just like,
He's like, you guys bring all the merchandise to that van, but all the wallets come to me.
okay, yeah. American Express card.
Yeah. Don't leave home without it.
Hey. So anyway, we see a van that's getting raided as well, with all the gear out of the back. And I love how the kind of camera pans in and pans back, and all the stuff's gone. And
I was trying to think, how did they do this? And more than likely, because we don't see the truck. I'm assuming that they just they're probably just like one row of empty boxes. Just swipe them off real quick so we can get the shot. And because I was trying to figure that out the other day. I'm like, it's pretty cool they did that.
It's pretty cool. It's done in one shot, but probably not that sophisticated, really.
No, it's probably like what I said. Probably just empty boxes, just one row up, and you can just swipe them.
Yeah, quick. And you just probably on one big board, and then just lift it out and lift it to the stage. Yeah, and the thing is about that too is that, but it's very comic bookish the way it's done.
Like all this stuff's kind of like, wow, that's like the way they steal the TV, and it's like he's on the ground in like 3 seconds.
Yeah, well, I've written down here. I love this bit because you've got this woman sitting on the balcony watching her TV. And there's a sticker on the side of the TV. It says, "I love New York." No, I love NY. And she turns to fix the lead or something, and then she turns back and it's gone. And she gets up and she's like, "Wah!" It's like a really bad ADR, but it's funny. Yeah, we see a lot of this merch being loaded into a van with the Foot Clan in the back, and they drive off. And that's when we cut John to the night shot. I think is that the Hudson River there? And then is that Manhattan behind it?
Yeah, I believe so. It's taken from an angle taken from, I believe, New Jersey across the river, the Hudson River, and so you could see New York that way.
Okay. So it's a great shot. And then we see people run the lawn, and they go into this old building. It's an old warehouse. I believe when I was watching special features, they said that was an old hospital, which has since been demolished. I think they said it was demolished in like 2000 or no, can't remember. Might have been the 90s, can't remember. So yeah, that's been removed now. But inside we see an army of people opening the boxes of stolen goods, being overseen by the Foot, and the second in command, Tatsu.
Love him, by the way. Love Tatsu.
He's brilliant, and he's just like good.
Yeah, a little emotionless, but he's great.
Yeah. And his voice is just ADR as well. They've got a different actor doing his voice.
You know what though? It's very much, if you were watching Hong Kong films, or even today, if you watch any films with like an English dub track over any kind of film from like Hong Kong or China, that's how they sound. So it's like I feel like maybe it's like a little homage to that.
Yeah, well, it might be because of the origins of Golden Harvest picking the movie up, and they were doing a lot of like those Hong Kong kung fu movies.
Yeah, so I always kind of felt like it kind of works. Like some people like get thrown off, and it's a little jarring at first, but like it's part of the charm.
yeah. And we see Danny stealing a Walkman of the time, John, brand new
Walkman. I know, like, and even the boom boxes and everything are so old that of the time.
Yeah, he's probably got Michael Jackson's bod in there,
He might, or
some Sex Pistols.
I mean, you would think with the shirt, but who knows? I feel like he's just he better be a big fan.
Yeah. So we cut to the night sky and the cityscape of Manhattan panning down. See this beautiful night shot, but April O'Neil is finishing her report. She narrates the whole opening of the movie there, just basically saying about how the crime rate is going up in the city, and things have got worse. And she's saying it's alarming and it's baffling and it's bizarre, the nature of the crimes, and all this merchandise is being seized. So, as I say, she's saying that the victims themselves rarely catch a glimpse of the thieves, and they don't even know they've been victimized until it's too late. And the police have yet to come up with a single eyewitness. So she's saying only a few vague reports of boys or teenagers at the scenes have been failed. I love how she says here, but crimes without criminals, an invisible gang at work. Who are we gonna call? So to me, that's like a reference back to the Turtles. Or sorry, the Turtles, the Ghostbusters.
Always rings my ears every time I hear that. Who are we gonna call? Like, it's like, come on, dude, who doesn't say Ghostbusters? And it's New York.
Yeah, it's a direct reference to Ghostbusters, I think. But so she finishes this report of all this crime that we have just seen a montage of happening in New York, and she says, April O'Neil, Channel 3 Eyewitness News. So she's leaving her office, WTRL3, in her yellow raincoat, which again to me is a homage to the cartoon, because she always wore a yellow jumpsuit in the cartoon, but this is the only time you see her in yellow in the whole movie.
Yeah, I 100% felt like that was like an homage back to like the cartoon, and always like when you think of April O'Neil, like and how she's sketched out, she's always got to have the yellow jumpsuit on or something like that.
Yeah, and it would be odd if she was running through this whole movie in like a yellow jumpsuit, wouldn't it?
It would be. So this is the smart decision that you have to make. It's like, when the X-Men came around in like the 2000s and like they were wearing black. It's like it would have been weird if they were wearing just yellow and blue.
Yeah, she's walking along when she sees a rat, which startles her. But afterwards, she is approaching her van and she comes across a bunch of crooks stealing gear out of one of the work vans. One of the gang members says, "Bad timing." And she says, "You're telling me." So they try to attack her to get her purse. When something puts the street light out, the screen goes black and we hear fighting, kung fu fighting. And right at the end, like you hear one of the turtles like going, "Wah!" And the lights come up and the police arrive.
Yep, and I like the way the scene's lit too. Like even like when the police arrive and everything, like very low lighting.
Well, I think it's very smart that when you're making such a low budget movie, and I like how the director conceals the turtles until the actual credits, right? You don't really see anything. And the best way to do it is like what they've done on this was just like, yeah, let's knock the lights out and we'll make a load of sounds. And and then when the lights come back up, they'll be tied up. So even the audience member is like April. They're like, what the hell happened there? And you save a bit of money. But the lights that you're talking about, which come from the police car, which they're shining on, the crooks, is very comic bookish.
Yeah, I love that choice though.
Yeah. And she's baffled. She doesn't know what's happened. One minute she's getting mugged, next minute, these guys are tied up and lying beside her. The police roll up and we see now we call these, John, I've written this down here, two different things here. So manhole cover, what do you call it? A sewer?
Manhole cover or sewer cover, but one or the other.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you called it manhole cover, but we would call it a manhole cover over here. So I wrote manhole cover, sewer lid. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, either or. Like I'll always say manhole cover.
Okay. One of the turtles looks out at his sigh, which is very reminiscent of the old poster there that he's left behind. And April lifts it and puts it in her bag, and you hear Raphael saying, "Damn." And this is when the music starts.
I love the song, the score, the way it plays over the opening credits too. It's so good.
I need you to go in the background, John. I need you to go boom, 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 boom. And then I can do the boom, 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 boom. Anyway, so yeah, the camera pans along the sewer, and then you hear the voices are like this, "Awesome," and you hear another one saying, "Yes, dude, do that." Major butt kicking is back in town, and you just see the shadows on the wall. So it's just well thought out, just great execution of just the introduction of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and one of them jumps out, and it's like a freeze frame, and it just says Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles across the screen. So you're right, you have like these two like prologues. You have like a prologue, and then you have like the first scene of the movie, really, don't you? And then you have the credits.
Yeah, exactly. It's weird how they kind of set that up to go into it. It's not like we open with the credits or anything like that. It's really a cold open, and I like that decision.
Yeah, it's great. It really is great. The turtles jump in the frame, and it's Leonardo, and he's awesome, and it's followed by Michelangelo, righteous. And then Donatello, Bossa Nova. and they're all confused. And he's
Yeah.
like, Chevy Nova?
Chevy
And
Nova.
then he goes, excellent. Now, you know who Donatello is voiced by?
Yes, I do. Corey Feldman, right?
That's right. And he's the only notable one. So that's the
Mhm.
only one I'm going to mention.
Yeah, that's the only one I knew as well. Was Donatello, Corey Feldman. What I always find fascinating about their voices is like three of them sound like they're from California, and then Raph sounds like a typical New Yorker. Like I work with a guy, we call him Bubbles, sounds just like him, talks just like him.
Does he?
Yeah,
Like Raphael?
just like Raphael. Like that's his actual voice, and so it's like always funny to me. Like now when I like and also kind of guy like kind of looks like a turtle. He might be Raph. I don't know.
I hate punks,
Great.
especially green ones with bald heads. And, yeah. So one thing I noticed here, it's funny, like because Donna, if you notice at the end of the movie, and we'll get there hopefully, sometime tonight. But you notice that Donatello, like it's Michelangelo and Leonardo are the ones always come up with the wee catchphrases. They're good at it. And Raph's is never involved, and then Donatello's trying to, but he never gets anything. Anything he says, they're always like, "What?"
I know they all have their own distinct personalities, and Raph is just like they kind of change it. His personality, he kind of falls to the background in like the second one, but he kind of feels like the one that's like he wants to do everything on his own. He's always kind of like the lone wolf of the four of them, which I mean, Splinter brings that up, but like you could just see it right from here. Like he's kind of like. Yeah, he's a little step back from the rest of them. He loves him, but he's like, he's his own man, his own turtle.
Yeah, well, you're right. They've all got a distinctive personality, and maybe some of my influences from the cartoon, but I remember from years ago. But I feel as if that Michelangelo was always kind of the party one, with the one with the smart mouth, and the funny one, and the party one, and the one that was a wee bit more disruptive than the rest of them. Leonardo's a wee bit more mature, a wee bit more level-headed, and he is the leader of the turtles. He's one of the smarter ones as well. But I feel as if Donatello is the smartest out of them all. You see in this movie, he's very reserved. He's very calm. He doesn't say much. And if I can remember correctly, in the cartoon, he was like an inventor, wasn't he? He used to build things and create things. I think he was. But Raphael is that. Keep in mind, these are four brothers, right? Mm-hmm. And Raphael is that one who's kind of like the black sheep of the family. There's always a black sheep. There's always an outlier.
Every family.
I could be the black sheep of my family. But
I think I am in mine too.
You think so? The ginger sheep. I'm the ginger sheep. You know what I mean?
It works for both of us.
Yeah. But the thing is about him, he's a temper on him. He's no patience. He's a temper, and he's difficult to get along with. So there's that, and that's probably a reason why. I think he's maybe the deepest thinker out of them all as well. So maybe that's another reason why he kind of has to go off and do his own thing to kind of work things out in his mind and calm down. And they mention that in the movie that he has to go off and do these things sometimes.
Yeah, and it makes sense.
So yeah, as I said about Raphael, he's lagging behind, and he's miffed. He's annoyed at himself that he's lost one of his weapons. So they enter their underground lair, the den, the turtle den. Splinter awaits, and excited, Leo tells Splinter they had their first battle. They were many, but we kicked, and he stops himself and he's like, we fought well. Splinter explains they must stay in the shadows, fight and fade away. But Raph is emotional, telling them he lost a sigh, and he can get it back. And Splinter tells him to let it go. And Raph and Donnie start pushing each other because Donnie tries to console Raph and he hits his hand away. He doesn't want to be consoled. And Splinter tells him, your ninja skills are reaching their peak. You must never stop practicing the art of ninja, the art of invincibility, right? But Maggie's on the phone ordering pizza. He's like, no anchovies, dude. Splinter hits him with a book. He throws the book and hits him. Splinter says, you are still young, but one day I will be gone. Use my teachings wisely. And then he suggests that they meditate, and music starts, and the turtles start dancing.
Yeah, what is this, tequila?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
that's how they relax.
Yeah. Have their party time, and they are, and one of them says, "Well, this is like meditating," But Ralph's putting his trench coat on and fedora, and he says he's going to do a movie. That okay with you? So he's got a wee bit of an attitude on him. Still in bad form.
Yeah, he's a little upset still, so he's got to go out and calm down.
Yeah. So cut the Donny skateboarding to a waiting Maggie under the sewer grate, and he says, "Pizza dude's got 30 seconds." Does that actually happen, John, in America or in New York? If pizza's late, do you get money off? Because it doesn't happen here. All we get is cold pizza.
No, this was just strictly Domino's of the time. So of the time, this is something that they had. Pizza will be there in 30 minutes or less, or you get it for half price. And I think it ended in sometime in the late 90s, early 2000s. Like they stopped doing that. I think they tried to bring it back briefly not too long ago because like obviously it was a big deal. But yeah, I feel like they were probably losing too much money on it. But that was a huge deal. Like that's why it's funny for this movie. They do have the Domino's tie-in, which is crazy because it's New York and nobody in New York really that's fast food pizza. Nobody's buying fucking Domino's. I love Domino's and I love Pizza Hut, but that's because I have horrible taste in food. But you're gonna get New York pizza, but clearly they got money from Domino's. And that's why they have this whole joke in here.
Yeah, I do. We have Domino's here, and I do not like it at all. The only time I used to get a Domino's sometimes, like when I was hungover.
Because the grease. Exactly.
It was great hangover food. You would get like a wee £10 like meal deal. It was like a small one with like a wee smaller garlic bread, and I think you got a drink with it, and it's like a side dip. It was like £10, and I used to get that when I was hungover, saying like a Saturday or a Sunday or something.
Yeah, but you could feel that clog in your arteries.
Yes, all I know is it actually made me feel better.
It will. That's what that does. That's probably Domino's best thing about it. But I'll admit, I like the cheesy bread that they make is great.
Yeah, it was great. It was just the right amount too, because it was like a small pizza. It was like a 10-inch pizza, and then you had your wee garlic bread with it. Just enough. There's no way sometimes when you're hungover and you're really hungry and you order loads of food and you eat about 2 bites and go, oh, I'm full. It's what happens to you when you're hungover. You're like, I'm starving, and the food gets put down in front of you and you eat a few bites, you feel sick.
Yeah, your body's like, that's not what we want.
Whereas that was just the right amount, just
I knew what it needed.
Yeah, and you had your wee tin of Coke or tin of Fanta beside you. Those days are behind me.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be having Domino's anytime soon after the stomach issues I had, so might not ever have it again.
My aim is not to be that hungover anymore, and the Columbo was my hangover cure. So I used to sit and watch Columbo and eat Domino's. So
had a similar jacket to Raph in this movie.
He does. He's got the old Columbo jacket, right enough. Yeah, he does. The old trench coat. I like this here. Donnie asks, "Hey, Mikey, do you ever think about what Splinter said tonight? I mean, about what it would be like, not having him." Mikey ignores him. He doesn't want to confront that. Doesn't want to think about that.
No, I mean, I think that's any child, like you said, to their fathers. Like, you don't want to think about it. The father's trying to lay it out for him. Like, I'm older. It's going to happen. It's inevitable. So, but, you don't want to think about that, though. And obviously, as we know, they will have to face that soon.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, John. And he says, time's up. $3 off. So the pizza delivery guy arrives. Now, this pizza delivery guy actually plays one of the turtles.
Oh, really?
Yep. He plays Michelangelo.
Oh, that's interesting. So he's basically talking to himself.
Yep. And what's his name here? I wrote it down here. I can't pronounce it. Michelangelo Sisti. He's asked to put the pizza down the crate in exchange for $10. And the pizza dude says, the tab's 13. And you hear, "You 2 minutes late, dude." And he says, "Come on, I couldn't find the place." And Turtle says, and one of the turtles says,
"Wise man say forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza."
This is the most quotable line from the movie for a lot of people.
You think so?
Yeah, I heard this all the time growing up. And, I live in New York, so pizza's a big deal.
Is it not, "I love being a turtle"?
No, I would hear this one way more. I still hear people bring up this when it comes to pizza, actually. When we got pizza at my job, we stayed late for Christmas, and like pizza came, and somebody literally just because a buddy of mine who I work with at my regular Joe job, this is his, like, I think this might either be his favorite or his second favorite movie of all time.
Yeah.
He literally says that I have a VCR and I have one movie for it and a TV. Like I'll go in there just every once in a while, and I'll just play a little bit of the movie, and it's this movie.
Do you know if I tried that for a pizza place, I'd probably just get a punch in the face.
Oh yeah, well you hope that the guy gets it, or else he's gonna be pissed off.
Somehow I don't think my pizza delivery drivers are watching the Turtles.
No, I don't think so. I don't think most of them are.
That's another reason why I probably get a punch in the face. So the pizza dude says, "I gotta get a new route," and I thought I delivered everywhere. But it's funny. There's some real funny lines in this. So we have this brief pizza cutting scene, some late relief, John, where there's it slices, it dices, and a piece of pizza hits Splinter right on the noggin, right on the head. You know, sometimes I'm looking at Splinter and I'm looking at his face and I'm thinking, he looks like my dog.
He does look like a dog, or like a chihuahua in a lot of ways, or something like that. He doesn't look like a rat.
Well, the thing is, like my dog, literally my dog, those beady eyes and that big long nose.
I could see that. I can see that.
Whiskers.
You know, she's already named Ripley, but if you get another dog, somebody can name him Splinter.
But the funny thing is, and I found this quite funny, was that like me and my daughter watched the Turtles many times, and then we went to watch the new one in the cinema. And when it started, she turned to me and started laughing and said, "They've turned Splinter into a rat." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she says, "Look, he's a rat." And I was like, "He's always been a rat." And she was like, "Oh, was he?" And I went, "What did you think he was?" And she said, "I thought he was a fox."
He looks like he doesn't look like a rat. Like, you know, he I would say that out of all of them, like as far as like the animatronics, his is probably the weakest. Like, you know, because like the way his eyes are at all times.
I actually think that his animatronic, I'm sorry, is the best, because I feel the emotion of Splinter when he's tied up and he's weak and he's got those watery, glassy eyes and it looks like he's gonna die.
I guess I never really I feel like the voice
so?
work is very well done. Like obviously when he's talking like to Danny later in the movie, like, you know, the way he portrays emotion, I think is very well done. But I always just chalk that up more to the voice work.
Yeah. Though I think the puppetry on Splinter is very good. So I think, but yeah.
I think that I just, you know, it's only him and the Turtles, and I feel like the Turtles are all like on par with each other.
But the thing about Splinter is that as a puppet, because he's old and he doesn't have much kind of and he's kind of tied up for most of the movie. He doesn't have too much animation. He doesn't have too much to do. He's not dancing. He's not doing backflips. He's not as lively as the Turtles.
That's a good point too.
But I just think, they were talking about the articulation in the animatronic head. They had like, maybe 17, maybe more than that, points of articulation about eyes and eyebrows and, the way the mouth moves and everything, whereas like maybe the Splinter puppet didn't have that much animation. But if you ever watch the game, John, just take a look, especially later on. And I know it's only a puppet, but just when you look at like his eyes and stuff, when he's like hanging up on that in the warehouse, you can see how watery his eyes and stuff are. I just think they captured that well to show that he is not in good shape.
Yeah, he definitely isn't in good shape at that point. That's for sure.
Yeah. So Ralph's leaving the cinema. He's just watched Critters, which is another New Line movie.
Got to get that promotion in.
Yeah. But I love this line. He's like, "Ugh, where did they come up with this stuff?" I have to agree with him. I wasn't a big fan of Critters. They're absolute nonsense.
They are nonsense.
Yeah. Whereas this isn't.
No, this is class.
Yeah. And he's making his way through the city when two muggers try to grab an old lady's handbag. He trips them and shows the sigh.
Yeah, you might want to get out of here.
Yeah. And they run into this park. Now, this wall that they jump over, I meant to double check this. This looks like the same wall that Rick Moranis jumps over when he's getting chased by the, what do you call the dog? The tire dog in Ghostbusters.
I mean, it could be. It does look very similar.
Remember, he jumps and he runs through the park. I meant to check. Is that the same park?
It might. Is it Central? It's not Central Park, right?
It might be.
Maybe.
It might be.
Because that would make sense, honestly. Because like, where else would they be? What other park would they want to get in there other than Central Park? So probably is Central Park, which would make sense then why they have a similar wall.
The wall looks very, very similar. And when they're in there, one of the muggers says, "What the hell was that?" But then Casey Jones appears from the sky. Notice he just laughs.
Yeah.
He must have been in a tree or something, waiting.
Yeah, he's keeping a close eye out on any crimes being committed because, we got vigilantes all over the place.
Yeah, he's out there dishing out vigilante justice. He says,
"Well, that was a crime, you purse-scrubbing pukes. And this is the penalty."
He hits one of them. But, of course, Raph intervenes. So Raph's got a wee bit of morality here, The muggers run off, and Casey and Raph begin to square off, John.
Yeah, they gotta show who's the bigger man or the bigger turtle in the situation. They both feel like they have their own set of justice that they have to serve.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's really weird because they're both vigilantes, but Raph doesn't agree in his type of vigilanteism using, I don't know, using the weapons.
But then again, he's got his own weapon. Yeah, I mean, but he's using a hockey stick. If anything, wouldn't his weapon be worse? He's got a knife.
Yeah.
Like his is gonna, like, if you hit somebody, yeah, you can get hurt, but I feel like a stab wound's gonna be worse.
I'd say it's gonna be worse than that. But Casey says to him, "What are you, some sort of punker?" I hate punkers, especially bald ones with green makeup. And we have this whole debacle with the sports bats until Casey hits Raph with a cricket bat, and he flies head first into a trash can. Yeah. And Casey runs off, and Raph is incensed. Just going to say here that apparently they had like different types of suits, right? So they had like stunt suits, and then they had the actor suits, and then they had like different heads. So they had like stunt heads and different heads, but had different expressions that didn't move. And then they had the animatronic heads that had all the articulation. But apparently the stunt performer, when he went head first into that bin, hurt his back or something? He hurt his back or his neck, and he was out. So I think it was one of the extras, they asked him, would he be able to fit in the suit? And he went, yeah. And so they brought him up to fit him, and he wouldn't fit. So they went, hold on a minute. So they started taking different arm parts off all the different other turtles, because they're different sizes, you see. And they kind of Frankenstein them together and put the Raphael head on and went, "You're Raphael now." And that's how he got the job for the rest of the movie.
Huh. Interesting. I mean, hey, one man's trash literally is another man's treasure.
Yeah. It's kind of like, when Matt couldn't do the Bond movies anymore, and then I stepped in.
You stepped in. He essentially broke his back as well. And you came in and saved the day.
Bond just broke him. That was enough.
That was enough. He couldn't do it. He still, I don't think, has ever gone back to a Bond film.
So Casey says, so long, freak. I've got work to do. And Raph is, he's so angry that he's being called this. So he pursues Casey, almost getting hit by a taxi.
Which is hysterical, by the way.
Yeah, he rolls over the bonnet, and the guy in the back says, "What the heck was that?" Well, the passenger is the actor that played Raphael.
So they just gave all the other people some, except for Corey Feldman, I guess they gave him some small roles to play, like get their real faces in the movie.
Yeah, well, the actual actors, the other two actors. So we've had Michelangelo, and we have also had Raphael, right? A guy called Josh Pius. I wonder, is that the one that got injured? Because there's a different guy there that plays Raphael. The other two actors are in the movie, but they're not as notable as this.
They don't have as like speaking lines or anything like that.
No, they don't have any speaking lines, so I didn't get them jotted down. So they are in the movie somewhere, but they're not in any of those scenes. So the driver says, "Look like sort of a big turtle in a trench coat."
It's like LaGuardia, right? Which is like just a total New York thing, because like that, like unfazed by anything you see in New York. Like, he's like, yeah, whatever. Where are you going again?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's just like, where are you going? But I always remember like the TV spots for this movie. It was always that scene, right, of them going over the bonnet, and the guy saying, "What the heck was that?" and him saying it, look like a big turtle in a trench coat. And that also ended, and always ended with Michelangelo going, "I love being a turtle." So that's why, to me, they're the most memorable lines.
That makes sense. That does make sense then.
Yeah. But Raph's screaming, "Come back here. I'm not finished with you." Damn. So all over New York. So he's got a lot of anger issues, this boy.
Yeah, he does. That's for sure.
Yeah. So Raph arrives back to the den, and Splinter asks to speak to Raph, but he's reluctant. Splinter says, "You will listen now." And Raphael sits down and he says, "My master Yoshi's first rule was possess the right thinking. Only then can one receive the gifts of strength, knowledge, and peace. I have tried to channel your anger, Raphael, but more remains. Anger clouds the mind. Turned inward, it is an inconquerable enemy. You are unique among your brothers, for you choose to face this enemy alone. But as you face it, do not forget them, and do not forget me. I am here, my son." So I love this scene. I love the music. I love, as I said to you earlier, how it's shot, how it's just dark and it's just the two of them. And again, it's about fathers and sons, of how he touches his head. He's trying to give him some kind of support here, realizing that he's dealing with a lot of issues and he's dealing with them alone. But always remember that he's got his brothers to lean on.
He's got family if he wants to use it.
Yeah. So such a great scene, John.
Oh, it's awesome. I love it.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Audacious. So in the next scene, we are in April's apartment, Bleecker Street, slash 11th Street. Her boss, Charles Pennington, is there, and he's concerned she was mugged. So they've got a real cozy, close relationship, don't they?
Yeah, he just comes in the morning and like with his son and like they just start talking and everything. And yeah, it's a little bit weird.
Yeah. Well, he's obviously called over here because he's heard that she got mugged. So maybe it's not like, oh, I suppose it's morning. It is morning time because he's bringing him to school, isn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like it has to be like I'm picturing like between 7 and 8 in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, he couldn't wait till she got to the office, and, or phoned her and said, "Are you okay? You coming in today? I heard you were mugged."
Yeah, no, he didn't really care enough. He just wanted to come in there and like discuss things, and then of course like put on his own personal issues onto her.
Yeah, yeah. It's a bit weird. I do like him. I like the character, but and obviously, look, it's for storytelling purposes why he's in her apartment. But I do go to myself, you're a wee bit too familiar here.
Yeah,
maybe back off.
Feels like it's a little bit more of like a couples thing.
John, could you? Exactly, that's what I think. I'm sitting thinking, is there a wee bit more going on here? Could you imagine if your boss rolled up to your house? I know you're an early riser anyway, and you start work early. But say rolled into your house before you started work while you were getting ready, and we're like, "John, I heard you stumped your toe yesterday. Is everything okay?"
Yeah, I'd be a little concerned about that.
You standing there in your robe,
Yeah, well, he's gonna see more than he bargained for, that's for sure, because that robe's gonna be wide open.
This is what this guy's banking on, you see, is the problem.
Yeah, that's the thing. He wants that with April, and I don't blame him.
So, as I said, he's concerned she was mugged. She says she wasn't. She's saying I wasn't. However, he's going to have security escort her to her van every night. And she's putting makeup on her bruised head. And Danny's there, and he says that he has to drive him to school every day just to make sure he goes. And then he puts the headphones on from his Walkman. And Charles, his dad, says,
I wonder where the hell he got those things anyway.
Why didn't you ask him? Where'd you get them?
You want to hear how stupid I am? I just assumed that forever that it was like his mother or something like that got it for him. Never put the things together. Obviously, he fucking stole them.
Yeah. See, I'm kind of thinking here, which I said about this is more about fathers and sons. I get the feeling that his mother's not around.
Yeah, I assume she either passed, but you know what? When I was watching this, I'm a child of divorce, and so I'm putting myself in the shoes of his dad's taking him to school, I don't know if he's with his dad or if his dad picked him up and was taking him to school, because that's something that my father would do. So I'm like, I don't know. So like I thought, oh, maybe his mother, he's just like, he's such an out of touch dad, he doesn't realize. But then I'm like, I think literally this time I'm like, oh, he just stole him. Like, because he even brings up, like, don't I give you enough that you don't need to steal? Like, don't I make enough for both of us?
Well, in the at the start of the montage, you see him take them out of the box.
Yeah, that's those ones. I know. I'm a moron.
Yeah. Well, it's not as bad as the lift.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's bad too. There's a lot of things you'll notice I'll just like that I'll overlook. Like I'm like,
I still laugh at that, the way you were like, I didn't know it was the sound of a lift. This be
well, you know what? I
you
kind of
you were like years ago, and I went, oh, I thought you meant like last week.
no, thank God it was years ago. But I mean, like, look at like in RoboCop when he opens the doors and you get the sting and the score. I'm like, I thought it was something like
that. Okay, I get what you mean.
I know. Silently judge. It's fine.
Anyway, we'll move on, John. We'll move on. We've embarrassed you enough here. So he looks out the window and he says, just what is going on there, April? I've never seen anything like this before. So you kind of hear him in the background talking about what's going on in the city. Danny sees money from April, sees money sticking out of April's purse. Have you ever noticed anybody's purse or wallet sitting there and money like hanging out of it? Seems to be like in movies and stuff. You see like there's always a purse with like money hanging out of it. What's
I know.
Got in there?
Nobody ever does that because you don't want anyone to ever see your money because this could happen. No one's that stupid.
Like, take me, you know?
Yeah, it's screaming at him and he's a thief. So of course.
Yeah. Well, she doesn't know that yet. So you hear him in the background saying it's like the city's falling apart. It's getting to where you can't step outside in the daytime anymore. But he warns her to take it easy, reporting on what's coming out of Little Tokyo. As Stearns, the chief of police, has the mirror breathing down his neck. But she says that Stearns is going to have some answers to do this afternoon when she goes to interview him. So we have like a series of scenes here, John, where April presses Police Chief Stearns on his force's response to the crime, and in particular, the Foot Clan. He denies their existence. The turtles see April on the TV. It's her. And Maggie kisses the TV. But Shredder also sees her, and he throws a dagger into the TV.
Yeah, I don't know why he's so upset about this. Like, it's obviously someone's going to be reporting on what's going on.
Yeah, I was about to say, why has he got so many TVs? And I remembered he's stealing them all.
Yeah, he's got plenty to go around. He's just going to replace that one.
All the TVs are all sitting around, and he says, "Find her, silence her." And Raph leaves the den. It reminds me, actually, just thinking there. Do you ever remember Mike Tyson's Punch-Out?
Yeah, of course.
And he's sitting in the chair, Mike Tyson, and he's playing the game. And I think he's got all these TV screens around. That's where like Shredder's sitting.
It's like a 90s aesthetic. That's how, they used to just stack all those TVs up like that together into like one big pile. You wouldn't do that now because like one TV's the size of all those TVs.
Yeah, and they're like that thin.
Yeah, exactly. Shredder would have an OLED right now in front of him that he just ruined.
Yeah, dagger would have went right through it.
I'd be like, this fucking guy ruined a $3,000 TV just like that because he's mad.
He's going to steal another one.
Yeah, he doesn't even have to. He's just on the street collecting wallets.
Brilliant. But after the interview, as April and her crew are packing up, the police chief calls her into his office. And she goes in, and we see Donnie being brought into the police precinct by two cops handcuffed. And I love how he turns just as she disappears, and you hear the music. Down, 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 down.
I love that. Great thing.
It's like the end of like a TV episode or something.
Oh yeah, exactly. Find out what happens next week on TMNT.
Yeah, and he's just kind of like looking back. So the police chief scolds April. Just what is it you hope to accomplish out there besides busting my chops? Notice there's no curse words in this. They always change out the curse words. Anybody else would say busting my balls.
Oh yeah, they have to. Of course, it's still supposed to be a kids movie. And this guy's I would say he's overacting his ass off in this movie, the chief.
Oh yes, he's like the dumbest ass in this movie. Like he really is, and it kind of reminds me, John. It seems to be a thing that they do. Like they don't do it as much in the original Batman. To me, like like Barry Pringle, aka Pat Hingle, right? He's just he's just kind of overwhelmed, right? You could argue he's incompetent. He's overwhelmed. His police force is dilapidated. Is that the right word? Dilapidated is probably
I
that.
think you're right. I think you're right.
Or like a building.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas this, like, he's just a bumbling fool, and you also see that in The Mask as well. I when I watch this, I almost feel as if The Mask and this are very similar in a lot of ways.
I mean, they're both based on comic books. I feel like in a comic book, like this guy would be over exaggerated, and maybe that's like the direction he got. Be like this, like over the. But it's funny because it's also a New York film, and if you go back to like Serpico and Death Wish, like they're always talking about the NYPD being overwhelmed, like they can't be everywhere and do everything. So it's like almost like a stereotype of New York that they got kind of in this movie as well.
Yeah, but I wrote that he's under pressure because you see he's sweating and he's undoing his tie and he's so it's almost like he is under pressure because of the crime, and she's, as he says, busting his chops because she wants answers. She's doing nightly reports on this, and that's why Shredder wants to silence her. He doesn't want the spotlight being on them. He wants them to think this is just the randomness of crime. There's just so many people out there doing their own thing. He doesn't want them to know that there's a network of people, a concentrated network of people being directed to do this, right? And of course, she accuses him of knowing about the Foot Clan and says he's not doing anything about it, but he suggests that the Foot Clan is an immigrant conspiracy.
Yeah, I mean, that's always what they go to. When there's proof, it's always a conspiracy.
Yeah, so... And he says to her, are you trying to tell me how to do my job?
That's what I mean.
So that gets rid of her. She's leaving. And we see Raph in disguise using a newspaper to cover his face, watching her. And then he follows her. I mean, that's classic, just standing there with the newspaper up,
Like, classic. Just see the eyes. Except he's still got the mask on.
Yeah, he's still got the mask on. And we cut to the New York subway. April has just missed the latest sub. The latest train. What do you call them down there, John? Trains? Trams?
I guess I would just call it a subway. You just missed the latest sub. Yeah, I mean, that's what you call that because we have trains as well.
Yeah, okay. No worries, because there's nothing they got over here.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of because my dad works for the railroad. So
right, okay.
So he would work out of not that train station, like that would be the subway. So the subway is something different. It's underneath. Whereas you have Penn Station, which will have subways, Amtraks, and everything. So yeah, it's a big hub.
All right, okay. I know I've seen the ticket of Pelham 1, 2, 3. I've seen the way that kind of works.
Great. Yeah, exactly. My dad essentially would work for that, like for the MTA.
Very good, very good. In New York, obviously in New York City.
Yeah. He worked for a long time. He doesn't anymore out of Grand Central Station, which you've probably seen in movies.
Oh yeah, like the Untouchables.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, very good.
So, yeah,
interesting. Very interesting. Probably he's seen. Is there a lot of rats down there?
Oh, there's a lot of rats. They claimed that actually they just remodeled it.
Yeah. Very good, very good. 5 Foot Clan members appear, and I love this. I love this scene. He says, "We've been waiting for you, Miss O'Neill." And April says, "What? Am I behind on my Sony payments again?" A bit of casual racism there, John.
Yeah, I know. A little bit just thrown in there.
So it kind of laughs and makes a joke out of it. And he says, "Your mouth may yet bring you much trouble, Miss O'Neill. I deliver a message." And he puts his hand out, hits her slap. And he says, "Shut it." And she pulls the sigh out, but it gets knocked out of her hand. So she fights back with her handbag or her bag, whatever you want to call it, shoulder bag, and they just knock her out. They just KO her. So you see Raph retrieve his weapon, and he attacks all 5 foot. Now I love this fight scene. It's a really good fight scene, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very well done. I just like that they all have the same matching uniforms and everything.
Yeah. I'm going to say something about that actually in a minute about their uniforms. But he takes April and he makes his way down the tracks. And I love the music in this scene as well.
So good.
It's really good.
So freaking good. The music I was trying to listen to the score, and it's not on Apple Music, so I couldn't listen to it. I had to look it up on YouTube.
Well, on YouTube, it has, yeah. I don't think, I could be wrong. I don't think they've ever released an actual full score of the movie. They
I
made
was
it
gonna
one.
ask you that to see if that was actually the case. Because I was like, because usually Apple would have it, but I was like, yeah, and I don't know why. Because the music is really good.
It's really good. I would love to get a
Mm.
release of the actual score, but what they have on YouTube is probably what you found, that they have back then what they were just coming out of the 80s, where they were doing soundtracks with just songs. So a lot of the songs in the movie, there's a lot of songs in the movie not really notable apart from the ending song, but at the back end of the album, you have part of the score.
Yes, exactly. Which is they used to do that a lot, or they'd combine it with soundtrack and score, and sometimes have things
Yeah.
talking over it. But I just felt like this would have been like a good one to have because it's really good music.
Yeah, it's really good. If they ever release this, I will definitely be picking it up.
I mean, it writes itself. Release it on a green vinyl.
Yeah, they might have already done that, and I just maybe didn't realize or haven't seen it. But yeah, it would be perfect. It's such a great score. I would definitely buy it. I love it. He doesn't see one of the foot members following him and down into the sewer, but back in the den. So she's lying unconscious on the sofa, on the couch, and Leo's saying, "Are you crazy?" And Donnie asks Raph why, and I love what Raph says here. He says, "Why? Why? Oh, I don't know, because I wanted to redecorate. Couple of throw pillows, a TV news reporter. What do you think?" And Leo realizes he's being facetious. He's like, And Splinter then comes out and asks what he's doing. And Raph explains that she was jumped and he had to bring her there. He couldn't leave her. And Maggie asks, "Can we keep her?"
Like it's a dog.
Like it's a pet. And Splinter says, "Bring water, cold washcloth, pillow." And then we see a member of the Foot is actually watching this, John. April starts to come back round and sees this giant rat looking straight at her, and she starts to freak out. They're all screaming, and she thinks that she's dead.
I would think that too.
Yeah, and then she concludes that she's dreaming. She says that she remembers she was jumped, and she puts it down to the rat she's seen in the parking lot, but she can't attribute where the turtles came from. Now, I always thought that the turtles looked like the Foot.
They kind of do. Like if you kind of like look at the way the eye shapes and everything are with the masks, especially, like you can make that common mistake.
Well, they got these like
Big eye holes.
big grill eyes, like big bug eyes, and they're wearing the red bandanas, and they're in kind of like a dark green. I would have attributed the turtles to that. I would have been like, "I'm dreaming because you're the guys that jumped me, and you're the rat I seen in the parking lot."
Yeah, well, I think now she can clearly see that like they're big giant turtles.
Yeah, and Splinter says if she sits down, he will tell her where they came from, and she says it talks, and he says it is really quite simple, Miss O'Neill. Simple.
Simple. It is pretty simple. This makes sense if you'll just let me explain.
Pretty simple, it's not weird at all.
No.
She says, and it knows my name. Why don't I ever dream of Harrison Ford?
Very timely reference.
Yeah, off the back of Last Crusade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Splinter says, for 15 years now, we have lived here. Before that time, I was a pet of my master Yoshi, mimicking his movements from my cage and learning the secret art of ninja. When we were forced to come to New York, I found myself for the first time without a home, wandering the sewers, scavenging for whatever I could find. And then, one day, I came across a shattered glass jar and 4 baby turtles.
Nothing could have prepared me for what happened next. One of them spoke.
Pizza! Pizza!
More words followed, and I began.
That was us. So basically, Splinter explains that he was in the sewer, he found the turtles out of a smashed glass, and they were crawling in this ooze. And as time progressed, they started to grow and become smarter. And that's when he realized that he should start teaching them martial arts.
Yeah, that's the next logical step. Is like, oh, these turtles now are all starting to speak English perfectly and talking about pizza and radical and this whole thing. And he's like, you know what? I'll train them from here to become ninjas.
Yeah, he basically is like more words followed, and I began their teaching. I began their training, teaching them all that I'd learned from my master. As you do, I love how he says, like, to my surprise, they were talking. Did he not find it surprising that he himself was talking?
I know. I don't understand how he was able to. He thinks that because he was following and mimicking his master, but they all of a sudden could talk. I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, listen, as I say, it's a fantasy movie. It's a comic book movie. It's done in a great way. I love the flashback. Say they done it in what, 8mm film. They give it
Yeah.
that grainy old look.
And again, coverage for like these like little puppets that they created because they look like little dinosaurs to me.
Yeah, yeah. And he goes on to say that he soon give them all names: Leonardo, Michelangelo, Donatello, and Raphael. And she says, I'm not dreaming, am I?
Oh, now it's starting to make sense, right?
Now that he's explained, she realizes she's not dreaming.
No, yeah. It
Splinter
all
says,
comes together now.
yeah, Splinter says, no, I'm afraid not. So then we cut to the next scene. The turtles lead April back to her apartment. She says she'd invite them in, but all she has to offer them is frozen pizza. I love that. I love this sound, John, when he springs out of the sewer. And he's like, let's go for it. And Donnie's like, you said the magic word. And April says, you guys like pizza? And Mikey says, doesn't everybody? So yeah, showing their love for pizza.
Yeah, that'll get them for anything. Anything you need them to do, just talk about some pizza.
Yeah. But I love how she asks Maggie, or she asks, what do you like in your pizza? And he says, just the usual stuff. Flies, stink bugs. But she lives above an old antique store.
Yeah, her father's, I believe, right?
Again.
Yeah.
Father's.
Yeah, that's right. You know, he loved
See?
old things.
Mm-hmm. So cut to April's apartment, and they're all having a great time.
Oh yeah, she's laughing. You see that shot of her? They zoom out on her laughing, sitting on the chair. She's having a blast.
Yeah, because it kind of goes when he says about the flies and the stink bugs. She's like shocked, and he's like, "I'm joking," and then it just cuts to her laughing, and the camera just pans back, and there's Raphael doing Rocky, and he's going, well, maybe I'll fight Apollo, or maybe I won't. And of course, he goes on to do the other one, which is James Cagney, you dirty rat. And April says that must be Splinter's favorite, and they don't get it.
No, they don't get it. And she's like, I'm joking. Like, you know,
it was a joke. You know, they're like, what? Splinter's not dirty? What are you talking about?
Yeah. And what's funny is James Cagney never says that line. It's like one of those misquotes that a lot of people make. He never says that.
Yeah, like we're gonna need a bigger boat.
Exactly, like all those misquotes that people get where they just simplified for you.
What's the other real famous one as well?
I know. I'm trying to draw it too. What is it?
Is it a Casablanca or something like that?
Casablanca. They have
there's something in that which was like never in the movie or something, or it's like a might have been Godfather as well. It's been misquoted too.
Oh yes, Godfather always gets misquoted with the one.
Make him an offer he can't refuse.
Yeah, the way they always, because they kind of just simplify it for you. It's like James Cagney never says it like that, but it's like that became a famous quote.
Yeah, that's what happens when it goes into the zeitgeist, John. Chinese whispers.
Exactly, and that's why it's like it's basically just a telephone game. It's like that's why you can't take anything seriously before they started writing it down in books, because it's like it gets lost.
Yeah, lost in translation.
Exactly.
Yeah. The turtles leave. April asks, will she ever see them again? And Donnie says, that depends on how often you stock your pizza. What a night for April. What a night.
I know.
Amazing. Best night she's had. See, she was working too hard at the start.
I know. Well, now she got a nice, relaxing night. She met some new friends, a couple of turtles and a rat.
Yeah, a couple of turtles and a giant rat. And she had some lovely frozen pizza.
Hey, good thing she had it.
Yeah. I was going to say, come to my house with me getting that, but I actually do have frozen pizza for a change.
Hey, listen, invite the turtles over. You guys will have a good night yourselves.
Yeah. The turtles are making their way back to the den on Cloud 9, full of teenage crushing on April. When they notice the door to the den has been smashed in, they enter. The place has been ransacked. Splinter's gone. Raph screams.
The way they do this camera shot is pretty cool too.
Yeah. But I love how the old guy's walking over the grate.
And
And he kind of stops. He's looking at it. And as he's walking off, he just like shakes his head.
like, what the hell? Like, again, that's like a shot at New York. Like, no one's gonna care.
Yeah, he's the way he kind of like creeps over it. He's like, what the fuck? What's going on down there? Somebody's being murdered, you know? So cut to the turtles showing up at April's door, and she says, "What's wrong?" And they're dejected, and Leo says, "Splinter." So then we have this brief scene of Police Chief Stern looking out at Donnie's arrest file, and calling his dad, Charles Pennington, the guy who's busting his chops.
Yeah,
He's gonna do a deal.
Of course, he's got to shut up April.
Yep. So New York City morning, sunrise, April's apartment, and the turtles are sleeping when there's a knock at the door. Surprise, surprise, Chuck. It's Charles and Donnie.
Of course, because it's the
Like,
morning
even-
again.
You know, they could be getting done for harassment by this stage.
Just call up HR and be like, this guy's showing up. Like this, especially, we could just talk about this at the office.
No. But obviously, he's got the call during the night about Donnie. We'll release him without charge if you tell her to back off.
And of course, he said yes. My whole thing was like, he wouldn't have to. I think if he would have explained it and been honest with her right here, you know, she wouldn't have gone on the air and said what she said. Like, but you know, instead he just had to say, I think you're tired, you're overworked. You know, he tried to like not be honest about what happened.
I don't think so. I think this woman.
You think she would have pushed back on that?
Oh yeah. I could see her right now sitting saying, "No, Charles, this is a big story. We can't let them get away with this.
So
This
they
is
seem
big."
close, like before, you know, he inevitably fires her, but they seem like they're pretty close. I mean, he's coming over. Like they seem like they would have like if he would have like been like heart to heart, said, "Listen, do that for me. This is my son. You know, my son.
Yeah.
He's going through something here, and like, you know, if you could just back it down a little bit, I'd appreciate it."
Yeah. But you're right. They do seem close, but he even though we were joking there about he's wanting more, I don't think so. I think she is just like his star kind of like reporter. You know,
Yeah.
she's like, you know, he knows that without her, maybe his company wouldn't be doing as well. You know, if it's like her star player of the team.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, listen, she's the hot news anchor, and
Yep.
you know, this is like, you know, obviously what she says, a lot of people are going to listen to.
Yeah, and I think she's on Basin.
You know, I think you and her should sit him down and tell him it's time to shave all the rest of the hair off, though.
Oh yeah, I mean it makes him look 20 years older. You
Why
know,
hang on?
What?
Why hang on? You're right
Right,
there.
exactly. It's tainted onto him, you know.
Yeah,
But
it
he's
does.
all disheveled and all. He's hardly slept.
Oh yeah, you could see everything. All his clothes are loose because, you know, he's worried about his son here. That's the thing I have a little confusion about. Is like, you know, like I kind of put like, you know, like Donnie's acting like he's this you know, this kid who's got no one that loves him. It's just like it seems more like regular teenage stuff. Like not enough to go join the Foot Clan. Like he's got a father who definitely like loves him. He just might be like an overworked kind of guy. Like he clearly
Yeah.
still cares about his son, in my opinion.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Like, but you know, that's why I'm thinking that maybe his mom's not around. His dad's a single father. He's working all the hours God sends to kind of put, you know, because he runs this news corporation. He's not around as much as Donnie would like him to be. He's probably not doing things with Donnie. Donnie hasn't got any brothers or sisters. Maybe he's no friends either. And he's lost, and he falls in with this group, and then he feels important. You know, steal a wee hen here, steal a wallet there, give it to Shredder. Oh no, the Shredder's his de facto father now. You know, at Vale, you're doing all right. Don't, you know, look at the family you've got here in the hideout. You know, all this type of manipulation going on in the background. You know.
I completely agree. I mean, it's
Yeah.
also a movie trope that the father, like a parent isn't around to love me. So like now I'm going to act out and lash out. You know, that's
Yeah.
something when you're a kid, I guess you could see that. But when you become an adult, you look at it like, the guy's got to fucking work, man. Like you got to get over it. Someone's got to go make money.
Yeah, but I agree with you. I'm not saying that's that for every child that happens to, that they're going to end up being criminals or should be. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like, it just feels like that's what seems to be going on here in the background, you know?
He views Shredder as a better dad than this guy.
Maybe.
Maybe he might be. I don't know.
Maybe. Make me a cup of tea, son. Oh, she tells the turtles they hate, and then he tells her to let someone else handle the Foot Clan crime story. Donnie sees one of the turtles under the kitchen table in the mirror, and he turns, and it's not there no more. There's just a teddy of a panda. And then another turtle is hiding in the bath behind the shower curtain. But April shepherds Charles out and tells her not to push any buttons today. So she shepherds him out because remember the turtle's behind the shower curtain, and he says, "Give me the towel, give me the towel," and he goes to get it, and she's like, "No, don't." He's like, "What the hell's the matter with you today?" And she's like, "Nothing, just get out."
Get out of here! I got turtles around. I don't want you to see.
Yeah. So, cut to Donnie in the car with his father, and he's saying, "I don't get it, Donnie. I make enough money for both of us, and you're stealing. Why?" And he says, "I don't know." And his father says, "You don't know?" And he says, "Sorry." And he says, and this is, a line that all fathers say. All fathers say this at one stage. Not as sorry as you're going to be after school today.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It's a classic line.
It's a classic.
It's a classic.
And he stops in traffic, and Donnie gets out and runs into the subway. So, as I said there, we'll fade the night, John. And we're in the hideout, which I just mentioned there. Inside, there's kids, teenagers. They're all socializing. One's smoking a cigar, playing pool.
This place looks like the coolest place in the world, by the way.
See, when you were a kid, it looked amazing. See, now I'm like, oh, couldn't play. I would hate to be there.
Oh, yeah, no, it's probably gross as hell. I mean, there's smoke all around. But when you were a kid, yeah, it looked like the coolest place in the world. They got the skate park. Very similar to, like, Free Willy a couple years later, same thing where kids all run away and they go to this hideout that's in the middle of nowhere that nobody seems to check that has great electricity.
Well, as you say, there's arcades, there's skateboarding. I'm turning the page here. Hip hop music's playing. There's a guy playing a guitar. There's dancing. There's gambling. I've seen a blackjack table.
Yeah, it's got everything. Guy's got cartons of cigarettes and soda.
Yeah. Was it blackjack or roulette? Is that the same thing? I don't know.
Roulette's with
the balls goes around. Blackjack's different.
Blackjack's what Austin Powers is playing in the first International Man of Mystery. I'll stay. I suggest you'd hit, sir.
It's 21s, isn't it? 21s.
Yeah, you got to get to 21. Exactly. That's blackjack.
Yeah. So it's a big playground for these troubled kids, these disenfranchised kids, that's what I think Donnie sees in this.
That's what I think. That's exactly what I think. He's like, he likes to hang out and he's got friends and everything he can hang out with. So, they kind of like feel like, I'm not going to get this at home with my, dorky dad.
Yeah. Who's working all the time and he's calling the Aprils every morning at 7 o'clock.
Yeah. We got to get up a little bit earlier to go to April's real quick so I can just talk to her for like 15 minutes and you can sit at the kitchen table before you go to school.
Yeah. Why she's in her dressing gown.
Exactly. I'm gonna just go googly eye her for a little while and learn a thing or two about a woman, son. All right.
Yeah. You get. Just gonna say you ain't get Coma's hair, but
nah. I mean, listen, he has no shot with her. She's way too pretty for him.
Yeah, definitely. One of the kids, the head thug, is played by Sam Rockwell.
Regular or mental?
Yeah. Isn't that funny? Like a very young Sam Rockwell. Love him, by the way. One of my favorite actors.
Yeah. So he's showing a couple of other kids around and he's like, check it out. Anything you guys want? Anything you want to do? Do it. And one of them says, you got any cigarettes? And he says, regular or menthol?
Yeah, man. I can't believe he's still around working. He just had a movie come out.
Yeah. Well, he's probably became the most famous out of this movie.
Academy Award winner.
Yeah, I think what was it he said? It was Steve Barron said that was it Judith Hoag and him were had the same agent in New York.
That makes sense. It helped him get the job.
That's how he cast him. He says his casting director or whatever was in New York casting the movie.
Got the right look for it.
Agent. Yeah. Oh yeah. And we see Shredder's number 2 again, Master Tatsu, keeping an eye on things when a kid runs into him runs into his chest. You think he's going to karate chop him, but then he catches himself on and he goes, "Go, play."
You know, yeah, he gave him a little bit of a break.
You give him a pass there because he's like, "They're only kids. Just calm down, and you know, we're gonna mold this kid into one of the foot. So let's not break him yet."
Yeah, we'll get him later.
Yeah, we'll do it later on. So we're saying cut the fate martial arts school within this facility, within this warehouse, and one of the kids is doing well. So Tatsu challenges one of the students, and he defends himself well, John. But after the student bows, he kicks him in the face, and he grabs him when he's on the ground by the chest, and he says, "Never lower your eyes to an enemy." And the student graciously says, "Yes, Master Tatsu."
Yeah, exactly. That's what I would do too, because he can kill you.
yeah. Anything you say.
Yeah.
You're too nice. Don't bow your head. And a gong sounds, John. All the kids get up and they leave and they gather for Shredder's entrance. I absolutely love this.
Oh, this is awesome. I mean, Shredder's suit, by the way, is fucking cool.
Do you think that a lot of the helmet and stuff like that we know? I can't remember what he looked like in the comics, but we seen him in the cartoon. But that's based on like Darth Vader.
It very much looks like a Darth Vader-esque kind of thing. And, you know, the way that they always have the light hitting the top, so it's like reflecting off. It looks so cool.
Yeah, it does. It's a really good look, really good outfit. And the music and the bird's eye view shot of him coming down into the like a big corridor, you know, but it's a big warehouse.
Like a layer kind of thing area, right?
Yeah, the shadow, I know what I mean, as he's walking down. And this is Shredder's big reveal. We have Tatsu saying, stabbing and saying to him, burn himself, I think. And he says,
Master Shredder.
And he pulls back his cape and he's got all those spikes coming off his shoulders. It's so cool. And you notice Tatsu's like, "Rup!" and they roll a carpet out for him.
He's the boss. You got to do that. This guy's literally the master.
Oh, yeah. And it turns out that this is a ceremony. Shredder's presents a new recruit who appears to have passed the training. He presents him with his Foot Clan mask. And Shredder, I'm going to read this quote out, John, because Shredder then makes a small speech. He says, "Money cannot buy the honor which you have earned tonight. You make us all proud. Only effort, discipline, loyalty earn the right to wear the dragon dogi. You are here because the outside world rejects you. This is your family. I am your father." Again, fathers and sons. That's Star Wars, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. That's the quote I was trying to remember, actually. You know, it's always, "Luke, I am your father." It's like, "No, I am your father." And, you know, that's right. The one that gets misquoted all the time. There it goes. And it's like right in here.
and I genuinely believe that that's a nod to Star Wars.
Feels that way, especially since, like you said, looks like Darth Vader. You know, it kind of feels like, you know, we got a Ghostbusters reference and we got that reference. Got some Rocky stuff in here, and we'll get Moonlighting in a little while.
It will do, yeah. And I just feel as if, you know, your man Steve Barron, I don't know what age he was, but I feel as if he was a young guy when he made this. I feel as if a lot of those guys that were kind of like starting to break in the movies in the early 90s were influenced by Star Wars, which came out in late 70s.
Yeah, I feel like that too. Definitely, you could see it kind of like, you know, even the way things are kind of lit, you can see what it kind of influenced him.
Yeah. So he goes on to say, "I want you all to become full members of the Foot. There is a new enemy, freaks of nature who interfere with our business. You are my eyes and ears. Find them. Together, we will punish these creatures, these turtles." And that is when... Oh, sorry. During this, we can see Splinter chained up in the back of the hideout. And he hears everything.
"There is a new enemy. Freaks of nature."
And then Donnie steps forward with his hand raised.
Yeah, we know what he's going to say.
"Master?" Yeah. We know what he's going to say. Next scene, the turtles are watching April on TV discussing her mugging and the foot. And Leo says, she's a good reporter. And Maggie says, she's a babe. April explains Japanese Americans have told her that the recent crime wave is reminiscent of a secret band of ninja thieves that once operated in Japan, and calls out Police Chief Stern. The charge is horror, and Stern is immediately on the phone to him. Pendleton, I thought we had a deal.
Immediately, like to the second.
To the second, he's literally watching the report live,
making sure she does the right thing.
Yeah, and the phone comes in. It's Police Chief Stearns on the phone. He's like, he's still all hers, all ruffled, all you stressed out, April thanks Raphael. So he gets a wee bit of a roasting, gets teased by the other turtles. But this only makes him deflect to his frustration at the lack of action and sitting around, not looking for Splinter.
Yeah, I mean, you got to stay the course.
Mm-hmm. Leo says that they're waiting for a lead off April. He and Leo have a big argument. So Raph questions his leadership, to which Leo tells Raph he's an attitude and it's not helping. So Raph says he'll take his attitude and leave. And Leo says, good, go ahead. We don't need you. So there's a real kind of brothers falling out there.
It happens.
Yeah, and people say things that they don't mean, and no one's willing to back down. No one wants to give an inch.
No, you don't want to appear weak to the other one.
Yeah, and the thing is about, that old saying, familiarity breeds contempt. It's because they're so familiar with each other that they probably would say things that they wouldn't normally say to somebody else.
No, exactly. Like you feel comfortable saying it. And usually, you're smart enough to know not to take it too personally.
Yeah. So you can tell these two are probably always at it. And whereas Maggie and Donnie, they just try to avoid it. They're sitting in the kitchen eating, I think you guys call them potato chips.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas we call them crisps.
Yeah. Anything delicious.
Yep. So Raph is up on the roof, angry, shadow fighting, taking his frustration out. When across the way, Casey Jones is on the roof.
Love this shot.
It's amazing, mate. I wrote the exact same thing as well. He's tuning a radio when he sees him. And I just wrote here, I love how this is all filmed in New York on actual rooftops, seeing the cityscape.
Yeah, and like the time they're filming it too, like with the sun at that right exact sun. It looks gorgeous.
It's amazing, mate. And you know what? You can guarantee that if they were to make this exact same movie today, they would that would just be a mock-up cityscape somewhere. No, sorry, or set, and they would just maybe, today they would do it CGI behind them, but they wouldn't go to New York and actually film it. They wouldn't see the point.
No, exactly. And then you wouldn't be able to capture like what it actually looked like in 1990. Like it looks beautiful.
It really does. And another shot that I love as well is when Raph goes to the looks over the side of the building, and that shot of him from behind, just looking down the city. The fact that this is just a rubber puppet, but from behind with the bandana blowing in the wind, it looks real.
Yeah, they got it. They nailed it. And again, you're right. This would all just be done on a set now on CGI background. It wouldn't be the same, and it wouldn't feel the same.
Wouldn't feel real. Wouldn't feel like you're there in the moment.
No, and that's what sucks.
And they were there in that moment, which is great. Whether or not it's a fake puppet or it's an acting or it's a movie, it's just great to see. I love stuff like that. Numerous members of the Foot creep up behind Raph. So April arrives home, and Leo inquires, "Does April has April heard anything about the Foot?" Meanwhile, Raph's getting a beating, but he's fighting hard.
Hey, listen, he's doing the best he can, but the numbers game.
I made a note here as well. I think this fight was actually shot on the studio set on the backlot.
Yeah, I think so too. Like obviously you might the shots originally that we saw were on New York City, but then they blend into like what the backlot sets that they built are.
Yeah, I read as well that apparently they went out to New York and they took photographs of some of the rooftops and things like that, then went back and recreated it on the set.
Yeah, which is honestly, that's a talent in and of itself.
Yeah, and it was the same with like the sewers and things like that. They actually took photographs of like old subways and things like that and then replicated it on the backlot.
They do a great job. Set designer, man. Production design, it's a big deal.
Love it. Diane Art.
Sadly.
Yeah. So while this is all going on, April is showing the rest of the turtles the abandoned antique store.
Yeah.
And this is what she says here, John. She says, I only keep it open part-time, mainly for my dad. He loved junk. I guess it's kind of dumb to lose money on a business because you miss your father. I'm not sure which turtle says this because you hear it before the door opens, but one of them says, no, it isn't. So again, that's what I'm saying as well about this. To me, is more about fathers and sons. Here you have a daughter speaking about her father who isn't around anymore.
Yeah. And, she wants to keep that memory of him alive. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So that's nice. I thought that was an important line of dialogue in the movie, which I never really thought much of before. But then after she shows him around, she says, hasn't Raph been gone a long time? And I love how Donnie's like, nah, he does this all the time. He likes it. And it cuts to him getting pulled down the steps. And he's like, blah, 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 blah. And then he says, cuts back the turtles and April with them back upstairs again.
Are you sure?
And don't worry, he'll probably be back any minute.
And lands on the ground. And there's such a cliche line here as well, John, because April's like, is he? And Leo says, no, he's alive. Barely. It's so cliche.
Oh, it has to, but make sure we know he's not dead.
He's not dead. But how that actual stunt costume hits the ground, you see the shell and all just kind of like a sponge, it compresses. He puts the hand on the shell and it just compresses down. If you're really looking for it, like you can see it, it's just made out of foam.
Oh, yeah. I mean, hey, that's the movie magic, but it's only a quick second. It's like the Annie Wilkes dummy that they built with the head. It's like it's just there for a second.
Yeah. You just have to be looking for it,
Yeah.
Yeah, the foot storm her apartment, coming through doors and windows. And Maggie says here, whoa, and I thought insurance salesmen were pushy. Oh, a fellow chucker, eh?
Yeah.
So he has like a standoff with somebody else with a nunchucks doing all these crazy moves, and I couldn't help think of the girl out of Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
I also could think of like Batman 89 with the guy, and then Batman just kicks him.
Yeah. So Donnie's the one that attacks first. A big fight breaks out, and Leo says one of these guys must know where they're holding Splinter. Good thinking from Leo.
Pretty good bet.
Yep. He's got the leader's head on. And the foot introduced Axis to the fight. Not Axis chemicals. Axis. They're battering the floor, and it gives way into the antique store, where more of the foot await, along with Tatsu. He's standing there too. And the fight continues when the door bursts open, and it's Casey Jones. I love it. See, when he comes into this, he is without doubt my favorite character in this whole movie.
Oh, he's amazing. Yeah, and I love how he joins in, especially the comment about April in a second.
All right. Well, he says he's standing there with his hockey stick and hockey mask, and he says, now, you guys mind telling me what you're doing with my little green friend there?
Oh, who is the babe?
And you see her face? She's disgusted.
Like, oh, God.
And Leo says, who the hell is that? And Maggie says, Wayne Gretzky on steroids. But I love the fact that, I just love the fact that he had this encounter with Raph earlier in the movie. This wee mini rivalry. And then it's like he probably thought it was weird. What the fuck was that? And then a few days later, he's on his roof and sees him across the way doing his shadow fighting. And it shows that he's got respect for him.
Yeah, I think he kind of respected that he stood on his own ground. He stood for his own morals. And it's like, maybe I got the better of him back then, but obviously we're kind of on the same side. Like maybe we have disagreements on like certain moralities, but we're on the same team. And like, he sees him doing that. Obviously he kind of was like, I wonder what that's all about. And then went over there to help him.
Yeah. And he probably thought to himself as well, here's a guy that kind of can match me as well. So there's respect there. No, like two great fighters get in their ring together, and it doesn't matter which one loses. To have respect for the winner because he's like, I'm a great fighter, but he was just better than me.
Yeah, he got
You
the better
know,
of me today. Could go different another day.
it could go different another day. So he probably sees him getting jumped by all these people and thinks and makes his way over there to help him out, which is what he does. And Tatsu says, "Attack!"
Mhm.
And I love this music, John. It starts. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a great fight scene. The whole thing.
look the soundtrack up. It's as good, nearly as good as I do it. And
I think you're better. I think so.
Just need a wee bit of practice.
Uh.
And then it goes. Anyway, so they don't have Raph, but they've got Casey. Now the odds are slightly better for the Turtles, and one of the foot hits an electric cable and starts a fire, which rages through the building with all those old, dusty, crusty antiques up like that.
The fire looks great. You know, again, something that would have been done with CGI today, but like it just looks amazing how they have this shot.
Yeah, and April unveils a trapdoor. It just gives a wee bit of an extra edge to the fight. April recognizes we need to get out of here now. This place is burning. We're all going to die.
It's over. Yep.
Yeah, so she pulls this trapdoor open, and Casey says he's covering them to escape, and he sounds like Rocky Balboa while he's fighting the Foot Clan. He's like, "Huh! Huh! Huh! Huh!" in the background there. Meanwhile, April's phone goes, and Charles leaves a message saying she's fired.
I know this comes as quite a blow, but you know, literally, he comes to our apartment for everything else, but to fire her, he has to do it over the answering machine.
It's because he's a card, John. He couldn't do it face to face.
Yeah, I know, because he knows that there's no reason to fire her, and he's 100% wrong.
Yep, 100%. And yes, as you say, then it falls and hits the fella in the head, and Casey says, or one of the Foot Clan in the head. Casey says, "You can say that again, Chuck." So Leo calls to Casey to go with him when you hear sirens, and then Tatsu says, "Ninja, vanish." As April's van pulls away from her burning building. Great shot. I love that.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't it great? And again, this is a backlot, so they probably can set that building on fire.
Yeah, it's definitely a controlled burn the way they handled that.
Danny is also watching from a balcony across the way, looking conflicted by his actions. And you see one police car pull up. I suppose that's all they could afford.
Yeah, that's it. We got one police car because this is like you said, this is on the back lot, so it's like we got one around. It's probably the same police car from earlier in the movie too.
Yeah, you just see like one pull up. You see him standing on the balcony from behind. It's a great shot, but you see like one police car pull up and then it just cuts.
Yeah, it's like we don't need to show. We don't have the money for 4 fire engines to pull up right now and 30 extras as firemen. Just show the first car that gets there and then cut away.
Yeah, nobody else in the street. The street's empty.
Yeah, they're busy. The chief said they're busy. You know?
Yeah. So cut the Shredder coming down the corridor, seemingly angry. The
Nice
Splinter.
man.
Yep, he hits him a backhand. I mean, this is a puppet, but I feel sorry for Splinter getting a crack across the face like that.
Yeah, I mean, you already got him pinned up. Like, he's not gonna fucking, why you gotta do that? He's like any other mobster.
See, I'm always wondering what Shredder's thinking here. This is not normal. You have a 5-foot rat chained to your gate.
He's not even concerned about it. A lot of people seem to not be concerned that there's giant turtles and a giant rat around. It's just like, even like Danny approaches him for the first time, it's like, I'd have more questions. Like,
And he's trying to talk to it. How does he know it can talk?
I don't know. He just immediately can no questions about this.
Yeah. Well, he says, "What are these freaks? How do they know how to fight like this? You will answer. Then hang there until you die." And he goes to leave, stares at Tatsu until he hangs his head in shame. While he just stands there staring at him.
You let me down.
Like that. So, angered, Tatsu beats several of the Foot until he near kills one of them.
Yeah, now he's teaching him a lesson that they let him down.
Yep. And Danny sees this and he visits Splinter.
Yeah. And again, you'd think you'd have more questions about a talking rat, but no.
Well, this is the thing. So Splinter, because Danny's starting to feel guilty. This is his friend at the end of the day. April is his friend. And
April was always nice to him.
Yep, and he sat her up with these scumbags, and her building all burnt down. And he's seen this. So Splinter sees his face and says, "How can a face so young wear so many burdens?" And Danny says to him, "So you can talk." So why does Splinter or Shredder think it can talk? Anyway, never mind. So Splinter says, "Yes, and I can also listen. My ear is open if you care to use it." So he asks,
he's being very understanding for like the situation he is. Just shows the patience of Splinter
and the wisdom.
Yep, and the wisdom. He's been through it,
and something his father doesn't have. They maybe take time to sit down and ask him what's going on.
Exactly. Instead of just speaking out in anger and not understanding, he's like, "I'm willing to understand your perspective."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Splinter asked him his name, and he asked him, "Have you no one to go to, Danny? No parent?" And he says, "My dad couldn't care less about me." And Splinter says, "I doubt that is true." And Danny says, "Why?" And I love this line, John. He says, "All fathers care for their sons."
I mean, we know that's not 100% true, but most fathers do.
Yeah, and daughters too.
Yeah, exactly. Most fathers are good people.
Yeah, 100%. The majority of them are.
Yeah, even his dad. We can see his dad's a little swarmy and a little slimy, especially the way he just treated April. But overall, he's not a bad guy. He's just overworked.
Listen, at the end of the day, his father fired his star player, his star asset, to protect his son.
That's a good point. Exactly. Like it was more important to him that his son be free.
His son is more important than his business and his star asset. So that shows you how much of an actual good man he really is.
Yep. Exactly.
He just can't understand what's going on with his son.
He's not. He doesn't want to listen to his son. He says his son is a child, and his son's like not willing to explain it himself. They just don't have a great relationship, but it doesn't mean his father doesn't care, and he needs to understand that.
Yeah, it doesn't mean he doesn't love him, and it's like Hoagie says in Jaws: The Revenge.
Yeah,
he says sometimes talking to a stranger is easier.
It's true. That is true. It is easier to talk to somebody who's not going to judge you.
Yeah, but if Splinter says, "I have an irresistible urge to kiss you, Danny Pendleton," that's a problem.
Yeah, he's a little old.
So fade to April's old farmhouse. April's asking how Raphael is, and they said he's not so good. But Casey says, "Hey, didn't they use this place in the Grapes of Wrath?"
Another movie reference.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and April says, "I told you, I haven't been up here in years." So, we bit of exposition there about the old farmhouse. It cut to Casey trying to fix April's van, and it's knackered. April says she needs to go to her neighbors about 4 miles away to call her boss. And Casey tells her Charles, her boss, left a message on her answer machine just before they got out. "You just saved yourself an 8-mile round trip. You were fired." I love how he thinks he's doing a good thing.
I don't think he did him. I don't think it was as bad as she made it out to be. I mean, but I don't know how other way he could say it. Like, he is saving her time. Like before you go over there, he just wanted to let you know he did fire you.
Yeah, I don't think he done anything wrong at all. Obviously, he didn't. It's how he tried to. Honestly, he didn't do anything wrong. She's hurt that she got fired, so she's taking it out on him, right? But the thing is that he's just not very tactful the way he done it, because he was like, "Well, look on the bright side, I saved you an 8-mile trip."
Yeah, unfortunately, I think what I always related with that is that I always make a little bit of a joke out of sensitive situations. My wife has accused me of this many times, and I'm just like, I didn't mean it that way. I was just kind of trying to be nice, but I was trying to be funny and reading the situation wrong. Maybe it's a guy thing. I don't know, but I've done that a million times.
Yeah, he's like every cloud and all that,
Yeah.
Every cloud. You don't have to go 8-mile round trip. But she says, I just saved myself. What did you do? Did you take classes in insensitivity? And he's like, I was just trying to break it to you easy. And she says, well, you failed miserably. I love how he says, hey, Broadzilla, you wouldn't be standing here if it wasn't for me.
It's true.
I love their relationship, and I love how you see it develop from like kind of like disliking each other. I know it's kind of cliched, can't stand each other, and then they start coming around and start, she starts to have respect for him.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
It's very cliche. It's very much a trope.
Yeah, it is a trope, but I think these two play it really, really well.
Yeah, they're probably. I mean, these are the two best actors in the movie.
Yeah, them and Splinter.
And Splinter, yes, the voice actor is Splinter as well.
I best talk about the puppet.
Oh, the actual puppet. Yeah, no, he's doing a great job.
Did a good job too. So Donnie says to Maggie, "Gosh, it's like moonlighting, isn't it?"
Exactly. It's just like when they go slam the doors on each other, which is funny because that's exactly how the moonlighting relationship was.
Yeah. Do you want me to thank you? Yes, thank you. No, thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. So then we have this series of scenes, John, on the farm with April narrating, which I like.
Yeah,
it kind of feels odd.
It feels out of place, especially because it jumps from them fighting right to this scene. Like it's like a quick, like they were just fighting, and now she's like kind of like we hear the narration of her, like kind of like how we hear in the beginning, but instead of it being on the news, this time it's her actually narrating and drawing. I do love the transition from her book to the actual shot of them in the garage.
Yeah, well, it makes me wonder because look, as I say, I haven't read the comics. I've got them sitting there, but it makes me wonder, like, if this was based on, say, the early comics, part of one of those comics was at the old farm. I'm wondering, was that specific comic her narrating that comic, right? Because it's just all of a sudden she's narrating what's happening. And I agree with you. She's doing drawings, and I love the drawings, and I love the transitions. She's explaining what's happening in this farmhouse over the space of a number of days. But then there's another part of me that thinks, was there scenes to be shot to do with this, which is the scenes that were pulled, and the only way to explain what was happening was to get her to narrate it?
Yeah, you know what? That's a good point. It does kind of feel it just always feels very jarring from the scene before to what we go to, but so it does kind of feel like maybe there is stuff missing. Maybe that's what he wanted to shoot to help fill that gap too. You can only you're at the mercy of what you already shot. So if there's nothing to fill the gaps in, like it's gonna feel a little uneven at a point.
Because you think at first I thought, is she writing a diary? And I was like, oh no, she's drawing the pictures. So if she was writing a diary, that will be different, but she's not. She's drawing pictures. She's just thinking it, but it's just like telling the audience. So it's just in this middle section of the movie. Now, I'm not saying it's bad. I enjoy it, but it's a bit odd that in the middle section of the movie you have her narrating for 5 minutes what's happening.
Yeah, I know. It is a little strange.
And as you say, you see Donnie and Casey bonding, fixing the old truck. Leo's watching over Raph, and April comes in and say, he's in the bath, and she's flicking water over him, and she reassures Leo he'll be okay. So because Leo had that, the last thing he said to Raph was, "We don't need you." He's feeling very guilty about all this.
Yeah, you've been there before. Like you feel guilty about the last thing you said to somebody, but he's like, he'll be fine. I love that he's in the bathtub. It's like he's a turtle, so he's got to be in the bath. He needs water.
He's just like hanging over the edge of the bathtub.
Yeah, my God.
His arms and legs. Yeah, she's just sprinkling the water over him. But she narrates this bit here. You touched on it earlier, John. But Casey Jones is a 9-year-old trapped in a man's body. He might almost be cute if it wasn't for that pig-headedness. And that's where it kind of like fades into this scene here where he offers to help April, and he says, "I'm your man. I'm Mr. Fix-It. Lead the way, toots." He's such a geek, but he's brilliant.
I love him. You're right. He's probably the best character in the movie.
He is. He's so funny. He brings so much life to the movie as well. Even though the turtles bring life to the movie. They're brilliant every time they're on scene. Their one-liners, their interactions, or you know what I mean, is funny. But I think from a man's point of view, you know what I mean, he brings a character that I can kind of relate to rather than Turtles or April O'Neil.
That is true. Exactly. He's definitely, because he's also a human, so we can relate to him and from a male standpoint.
And from a male who's attracted to a beautiful woman.
Who wouldn't be? Who wouldn't be? You know? We saw those thighs earlier in the movie in those short shorts. I mean, come on. Beautiful.
There's a couple of scenes in the farmhouse. I wasn't looking at her shorts.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's other stuff as well. I mean, believe me, I'm just saying the first time we saw her, but she's well put together.
She certainly is. And April says, "Toots," and he says, "Babe," and then he goes, Sweet cakes. Ah, princess.
He's doing his best.
And April decides she doesn't need help after all. So Casey says, fine, that's up to you. Just don't come round here asking for my help again. And he sits down on the porch swing, and April says, I wouldn't ask for your help if you were the last thing on this planet. You know, she wasn't going to say last man or person because she's got the turtles in the back. She said thing.
Yep, exactly. Nothing. I'll never ask you for anything.
Yeah. And that's a typical response from someone. Saying, I would not, your last person in the world, I wouldn't ask you for your help.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and Casey says it's all coming along nicely, and then the swing breaks. So Raphael awakens, and Leo's elated. He's awake. He wants food. Bring some food. But he says, listen, Raph, about what I said before about not needing you. And Raph is the type of person, he doesn't like sentimentality.
Yeah, exactly. And I understand that too. You know, just like I understand. Like, you know, I wasn't holding a grudge.
Yeah, he says, Leo, don't. And then he says, boy, I missed you. And the hug. And Donnie says, it's a Kodak moment. So the turtles train, and April narrates that they are 4 once again, but still yet not whole. And then you've got Raph on top. I think it's Raphael on top of the barn, screaming Splinter, like Rocky and Rocky 4, Dragon. But meanwhile, back at Shredder's hideout, Tatsu tells Shredder, your empire flourishes, Master Shredder. And Shredder asks, what more from the rat? And he says, nothing. He will not speak. How did they know he can speak?
Yeah.
Unless the foot soldier, the Foot Clan must have told him.
Oh yeah, remember they saw him early in the movie, like that. They saw him, and then before they kidnapped him, so they heard him talking.
They heard him talking. There you go. That's what it is. And there you go. Silly me. And he says, and the boy who led us to the turtles, he says he's still missing. Why do the turtles trouble you, Master Splinter? They have not been seen for days. And Shredder says, something about the way they described their fighting. Something familiar. Something from the past.
That's foreshadowing.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of this, maybe I could be wrong. A lot of this is just exposition, and it just kind of feels a wee bit like maybe there's scenes there with the scenes that, you know, Steve Barron wanted to film because there's just Danny's went AWOL, he's disappeared, don't know where he is, things like that.
Yep, that's true. We don't get to see all that, but you explain it this way. And you're right, that's where the narration does help.
Yeah. So the turtles training scene in the forest, and then back in the farmhouse, Casey's cutting carrots with one of Donnie's ninja swords, samurai sword even.
Yeah, it's like a cortana or something like that.
Yeah. And he starts to give April a massage. She's reluctant at first, but then she gives in. And then I love us. Michelangelo comes in with a stiff shoulder. She comes in with the shoulder, and April says, ointment. And he goes, and he opens the cupboard and he lifts out turtle wax.
Yep. Had to make the joke.
I thought that was so funny, but it's good that they all start laughing. No, they realize it was done as a joke. It wasn't kind of, and he starts rubbing his head. So Leo's outside meditating when he hears Splinter. He gathers up all the other turtles. He's alive. I don't think it. I know. So that night, they sit by the fire and meditate. Leo says, concentrate hard. And Splinter's Force Ghost emerges out of the flames.
Yep. Blue flame. Beautiful.
It's a blue flame. It's a great shot. I love this scene as well. The way the music and all plays as well, John. It's one of my favorite scenes in the film. And Splinter says, I am proud of you, my sons. Tonight, you have learned the final and greatest truth of the ninja, that ultimate mastery that comes not of body, but of mind. Together, sound more like Shredder now. Together, there is nothing your four minds cannot accomplish. Help each other, draw upon one another, and always remember the true force that binds you, the same as that which brought me here tonight, that which I gladly return with my final words.
I love you all, my sons.
Oh yeah, that's sweet. I love the way he ends that.
Yeah, and the way they're all crying around
Mhm.
the hand. So it's like he's saying goodbye.
It feels that way, and maybe he thinks he is gonna die, so he wants to make sure he lets them know that he loves them.
Well, there's that split scene in the beforehand when Shredder is talking to Tatsu, and you see him. He looks really worse for wear. It looks like he's gonna die, and Shredder says that stay here and die if you will not talk. So I think the movie's trying to kind of angle at that, but also this is also why the turtles decide to go back now.
That's true. Exactly. It's time.
It's time. Well, we cut to the scene here. We fade to the next day, and April and Casey are on the porch swing. It appears they are getting along. She's impressed he played professional ice hockey.
Yeah, I'm surprised at that too.
Why is that?
He's not in ice hockey shape, in my opinion. He's a little thin.
Okay. Well, he says he had an injury. She says she's sorry, and he says, so am I.
Yeah, the one that got again, the dream that got away.
Yeah. Well, no, Judith Hoag, who plays April, did say that he worked out for this movie.
Oh, okay. Well, he's in another movie this year. It's what's his name? Elias Koteas.
That's right.
I always get his name wrong. He's also in Look Who's Talking Too, playing a very similar character that year.
Well, you know what? We didn't even actually really talk about the two main leads, as I said, played by Judith Hoag. I haven't really seen her in anything else. I believe
she doesn't even come back for the sequel too.
No, well, I believe she was making a movie with Robin Williams at the same time when she was making this.
I don't know what movie that was. Yeah.
Well, she tells the story that she was making a movie with Robin Williams. I can't remember what the movie's called, to be honest. I haven't seen it. And she then got the starring role in the Turtles because she read the script, or her agent said, read this, don't read the title, read the script. And she read the script, she loved it. She decided to do it. But the thing was that she was working on this other movie. So the other movie said she could go, she was working 5 days a week on the other movie with Robin Williams, and she could go on a Friday when she finished on a plane to New York or whatever it was, North Carolina, sorry, or wherever it was they were filming at the time, to film the Turtles. So she'd be rushing off at the end of the day. And one day, Robin Williams asked her, where are you going? Because he was always teasing her. Oh, you don't want to be here. You don't want to be in this film. You're always running off. And in the end, she says she was too embarrassed to tell him that she was working on the Turtles. So in the end, she says, I'm doing another movie. And he says, yeah, right. What do you call it? And she says, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And he went, are they making a movie of that? And she went, yeah. And he was like, I love the comics. So he was a fan of the comics. So then he started lobbying for her to get away to make the movie. At the end of the day, I of shooting, she used to be like, come on, hurry up. Judith's got to go. She's making a movie. You know what I mean?
It just shows you the character of Robin Williams, man.
Yeah, because she was afraid because this is Robin Williams. She was embarrassed to say I'm making this movie about Ninja Turtles. You know what I mean? But it was a starring role, and that's why she wanted to do it. Plus, she says she loved the script. But when he found out, apparently he was a fan, and he championed her to get away. Whereas Elias, how do you pronounce his surname? Koteas?
I think it's Koteas. I'm very bad with that. I've tried.
Yeah. Well, he's a character actor. I've seen in several movies over the years. I remember seeing him in a movie. I seen him playing a priest in a movie. Was it Sleepers? Does he play a priest in Sleepers?
That makes sense. He's old. You see him in a lot of things. He's also, I don't know if you've ever seen David Cronenberg's Crash with the car crash fetish.
No.
Yeah, that's a weird one for him. He has the leading role in that. But yeah, no, he pops up all over the place. I always think of him in the two movies that he's in this year because I grew up with both of them. This one and Look Who's Talking To.
Well, what I always remember him from, and first of all, I'll say is maybe it's the accent. He always used to remind me of like our young Robert De Niro.
Ah, okay.
And before I even knew his name, I used to call him, "Oh, look, there's Robert De Niro." But I always remember him in The Sopranos.
I was gonna say that too. That's the other one. That's the other big one for him. He's in that.
Yeah, where he does Christopher's intervention.
One of my favorite scenes in the whole show, by the way, is that.
Yeah. He says to Christopher, "Do you know why we're here?" And he says, "You're the guy that robbed the stuff out of out of the shop." And he goes, "That's not why we're here."
That's not why we're here.
I did later on, doesn't Paulie say something along the lines of he says something about he falling off the wagon, and the guy Elias, who's taking the intervention, says, "It's okay, Chris. I fell off the wagon once. It happens." And and Paulie says, "So you're a 2-time loser then?"
Paulie's whole thing in that is hysterical. You can't take it seriously. They end up beating the shit out of him, Christopher Moltisanti, in that scene. That's how they end the whole intervention. Where he's supposed to be helpful to this guy.
It's supposed to be happening because he called his mother a name.
Yeah, but they end up like literally all of them beating the shit out.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
By the way, I looked up the movie that Judith Hoag is in, Cadillac Man.
Cadillac Man. I haven't seen that, but that was the movie she was making at the time. Yeah. So yeah, I know. I just feel as if we should touch on them the two main stars of the movie. I forgot to do it at the start, so may as well do it now.
Yeah, well, we found the place, and I appreciate talking about it because he's great. He definitely has one of the more successful careers out of this movie. Him and Sam Rockwell.
Yeah, definitely. And I like him. I really like him as an actor. So the turtles interrupt the discussion, and Casey says, "Guys, I told you, I hate it when you do that. All right." And April says, "What is it?" And I love this shot of the turtles standing in the grass.
Yeah. Okay, you said it. I was waiting to bring it up.
Yeah, I love that. And they say,
"It's time to go back."
Starts ding, ding, and the cut. They're really New York.
Love that too.
Isn't that great? Just to add in a bit of rain, just adds a wee bit of atmosphere, a wee bit of realism to the set.
Rain really does a lot of. I always love a good the heavy rain in a movie. Always love that.
Yeah, so do I. Some of my favorite episodes of Columbo is when there's like loads of rain and stuff in it. There's a certain one that has loads of rain in it. I love revisiting it. It's sad. Anyway, so they arrive in the truck, and Raph says, "Now I know what it's like to travel without a green card." And Casey says, Casey thinks it's the apartments.
Yeah, I know.
He's like, "This isn't bad. Nice place, guys." But Maggie opens the sewer and says, "Are you coming or not, dude?" He's not impressed.
No, he's disappointed immediately.
Yeah, he says, "This is great. First, it's the farm that time forgot, and now this. Why don't I ever fall in with people who own condos?" So I guess he's with them because he's kind of hiding out too, because he doesn't want the food coming after him.
Yeah, I mean, he helped kick their ass. Like, obviously they're going to recognize the guy, with the hockey mask.
Yeah, so he's staying. Plus, I also think he's trying to get with April as well. So another reason to stay with him.
Yeah, putting in the groundwork.
Yeah, or the underground work.
Yeah,
in the sewer. Yeah. So back in the den, someone's watching from, it's like a locker or a cabinet. And Casey's bitching about the den. April's telling him it's only one night, and Raph's eager to get to work now. But Leo explains it was a long drive and they should get a few hours sleep. And that's when they open the wardrobe, and it's Danny. April's like, "Danny?" And he says, "Don't shoot." And Raph says, "I don't think it's loaded, kid." Danny says he's run away from home and not to call his father. Can he stay for one night? And I love this here, where he's like, "Hold it. What is all this talk about staying the night down here?" And Donnie says, "You're a claustrophobic." Casey's like, "You want a fist in the mouth?" I've never looked at another man in my life. And April tells him it means you're afraid of enclosed areas. And Casey's like, "Afraid? What, me? Is that what you think? I don't have to take this stuff of being afraid. I'll go and sleep in the truck."
Yep. He just want to get out of there, so he found the perfect excuse. "I'm not afraid. I'm leaving. I'm going upstairs."
Yeah, because he doesn't want to stay underground like that, where there's probably like rats and stuff running about.
Probably. I mean, it's the sewers. I'm sure it smells god awful.
Yeah. And Danny's looking at April's drawings and asks, "Can I keep one?" He tells the turtles he had pizza down there the other day, but it's gone bad.
Yeah, they have a memorial for it.
But they do that thing again with that noise where he bounces up. And they're like, bloop. But yeah, they do a memorial for it because he, one of them says, "Do you like penicillin on your pizza?" So Casey's getting comfy in the truck while everyone's sleeping. Danny's having nightmares. He's hearing Shredder's voice and then Splinter. So he's conflicted. His conscience is coming through. He awakens and leaves. Casey sees him coming out of the manhole and follows him to the hideout. Inside, Danny visits Splinter. Splinter says, "I have not seen you for days." So they have this conversation where he says he's been in his hideout, and Splinter asks, "Do you hide from your surrogate family as well?" In other words, the Foot Clan. And Danny says, "I don't know." And Splinter goes on to tell him about the family he had. "Many years ago, I lived in Japan, a pet of my master, Yoshi, mimicking his movements from my cage." So he goes on to tell this whole story about he's learning the mysterious art of Najutsu, and his master Yoshi was murdered by Araku Saki over the love of a woman who he also murdered.
He didn't take that. He didn't take it well. I guess he was turned down by her.
Yeah. She was actually trying convinced, rather than fighting off for her love, she had convinced his master to move to flee to America. But he killed. I think he killed him before, or did he kill him in America, or kill him before America?
Probably before, right? And then flew and then ran off to America.
Yeah, but Splinter ended up in America.
That's true. So maybe it was when they got to America. Maybe he chased them to America and then killed them.
Yeah, I think so. I think he chased him down to America and then killed him. But he says about he knocked his cage over during the struggle, and that's where he jumped on his face and scrabbed his whole face. And he tried to kill the rat by trying to slice him in two, but took a part of his ear off.
Good, fuck him.
He says he was gone and I was alone. And Danny asks, "Whatever happened to Aruku Saki?" I think he says nobody knows. And the thing about this is, I'm like, has Splinter not put two and two together?
Still hasn't. You would think he'd recognize the eyes. He's seen him pretty close up.
Yeah, you think it goes, I guess is the guy. This is the guy here.
Yeah, it's all kind of adding up, isn't it?
Yeah, nobody knows where he went. Yet he's in harassing them. How do they know how to fight like that, you know?
You would recognize the voice, wouldn't you? It hasn't changed. He doesn't have a voice box on.
Yeah. Cut to Casey, KOing a member of the Foot and stealing his outfit, which is classic, another cliche move there when you go into the villain's den. You like James Bond, you dress up as them.
Yep, no one suspects it. There's so many of them, they're not going to even think twice about it.
Danny removes the headband. Oh, that's what he says. He also says to Danny about he doesn't know what happened to Aruku Saki and he says, "But you were," as I'm saying, I mean, he hasn't put two and two together, "but you were a symbol on your brow, on the headband."
Yeah, again, you haven't figured it out though.
No.
For all his wisdom, he can't figure this one out.
He didn't grow that much in intellect.
I guess not.
No, he didn't. So Danny removes the headband when Shredder catches him. He sees this and he quizzes Danny. Where has he been? He pulls the drawing out of Leo out of his back pocket, and he says, "They're back. There will be no mistake this time. And the rat, kill it." So he's going to go himself, he says. So this feels very personal to Shredder because they can fight in a familiar way.
So maybe he's putting it together.
So he's like, how can they fight so well? He probably sees it as these could be the only ones that could stop me.
That's true. Only ones that can take him down.
Yeah. So Danny sees this and runs, but Casey grabs him and he tells him, "You got to come with me. They're gonna kill Splinter." So Danny's bonded with Splinter a bit.
Yeah, Splinter's the one who kind of changed his ways, changed his perspective.
Yeah, he's talked him round again. Plus all the stuff he's seen,
Yeah.
what these guys are doing. He knows they're not doing the right thing.
No, he thought that he was maybe on the side of good that was just going to change the way the world is. And then, just like a lot of things, maybe these guys aren't so good. Maybe these are the bad guys.
Yeah, it's you know what I mean? It's like seeing what they've done to April's apartment, what they're doing to Splinter when Tatsu beat up the other recruits, you know what I mean? Or the other Foot Clan.
Could easily be him.
Yeah, exactly. So it's starting to all changes his thinking. So it is. But the Foot descend into the sewer, but the turtles are ready, letting off steam from the pipes and dispatching of them. And then more arrive. So I don't know how the turtles knew they were coming, but they were ready.
They were prepared.
They were prepared. Meanwhile, Casey arrives to release Splinter. I have to laugh here, John, at the look on Casey's face, because do you think the turtles and April explained that Splinter was a giant rat?
I don't think so, because he hasn't seen him before, so I don't know what he was expecting.
Exactly. I mean, they're probably talking about Splinter, but they probably never said, "Oh, by the way, Splinter's a 5-foot rat."
Yeah, you're gonna don't be alarmed.
Yeah, he's probably thinking he's another turtle.
That's what I would think he's thinking. It's like, that's their master. He's probably another turtle. That's what my mind would jump to if I was in Casey Jones' shoes.
Yeah, because he runs in and stops and is like, and he's like, okay. And then he kind of goes, puts his hand to his side, like, oh, well, what does it matter?
Yeah, at this point, I've seen talking turtles. What's a giant rat going to do?
Yeah, he's like, oh, well. And he's like, where's the keys? And Splinter asks, who are you? And I love this line because Casey's just more fixated on getting him out of there. But I love this. He's just like, my name's Casey Jones. I'm a friend. And Tatsu arrives on the scene. And he growls at Casey. And I love this when they face off here. See, as Tatsu's beating the crap out of him, like Casey's not even fighting back because he's looking at this guy and thinking, this is a serious dude here and I don't want to upset him. I don't want to make this man any more angry than what he looks. I better not try anything. But every time he hits him, he's like, it's going to cost you Tinkerbell. And he hits him again. He's like, I don't think that you're listening. And then eventually he says, I think we have a little language barrier going on here. But eventually, until he knocks him into the boxes and he finds that golf stick or the golf club. Sorry, he finds the golf club and that he hits him with that. And I love how he stands and he's like 4 and knocks him flying into the railings. And he says, I'll never call golf a dull game again.
A little bit like Happy Gilmore had to learn the ways of golf.
Yeah, the way he kisses it now. So he does. So in between all this, the turtles continue to battle the Foot. Back at the warehouse, Sam Rockwell tries to rally the teens to take out Casey, and Casey says, "You want to be first, Junior?" And this is where he says, "We have a loyalty to the Shredder." But Splinter tells him Shredder uses them and poisons their minds. He cares nothing for you, all the people you hurt. And he goes, "We're a family." And Casey just can't believe his ears. He says, I love this line, John, where he says, "Family? Is that what you said? A family? You call this and that down there family?" He just look around,
and like, yeah, maybe he's right.
Yeah, Casey's just like, and he helps Splinter out, and that's when Splinter's like, Casey.
Mm-hmm.
So they battle against the battle against the Foot spills out onto the streets, and this is where the turtles are, saying their the dialogue they're known for. It's like, awesome, and then Maggie's about to get his head chopped off with a sword, where he pops into his shell and pops back up again. And this
Love
is
that.
The most famous line in the movie for me is, as I said earlier, I heard in the TV spots and the trailer and stuff, "God, I love being a turtle."
Because it benefited him right here.
It did, John. And the fight climbs onto the rooftop, and the turtles are winning when Shredder glides down from the sky. Again, this comes out of fucking nowhere.
I mean, this guy's a clear-cut comic book villain, you know?
Well, Leo says, does anybody have any idea about who or what this is? And Mickey says, I don't know, but I bet he never has to look for a tin opener.
That's true. He's got all these sharp objects on him.
Yep. And Shredder says, you fight well in the old style, but now you face the Shredder.
Mm-hmm. He's a wrestling villain.
Yeah. So in the meantime, Casey arrives with Splinter and Donnie, and the rest of the teens follow behind. They're all behind him, and you just see him kind of looking, and he's like, so much for family. So April emerges from the sewer, so she comes out from where she's been hiding, and the turtles fight hard, but Shredder is kicking their ass. Just like, what do you call him, sis? Out of T2. This thing is kicking my ass.
Oh my God. Yeah, Miles Dyson.
Miles Dyson.
Yeah.
And so they regroup, and Donnie says, maybe somebody ought to tell them that we're the good guys. And Leo says, this guy knows where Splinter is. So they all charge at him. And meanwhile, Splinter disappears from Casey, and more of the foot start to climb up the ladders. So Casey sees this, and he's like, oh boy, leftovers. And he drives a garbage truck into the ladders and knocks it knocks him off the ladders. But another two come running in. He knocks one out. He knocks the other one out, and he's like, "It's a talent."
It is a talent. He's good at his job. He's good at his job.
He loves himself. He really loves himself. And the turtles can't defeat Shredder, so they regroup once again. And Raph asks, "Where's Splinter?" And Shredder says, the rat. So it has a name. Mm-hmm. It had a name. And Leo says, you lie. And Shredder says, do I? Mm-hmm. So evil. Out of all the turtles, Leo loses his temper. The leader, not Raph, he charges at Shredder, and he is easily outfought, fighting with rage, not discipline.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And he should know better.
He should know better, but it's really funny that you expect Raphael to do that. So Raphael, he's learned his lesson. You expect Raph to keep the level head because he's the leader, and he doesn't.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just shows you that, Raph got the arc in this movie. You know, we saw him from the beginning and how he is now.
Yep. Well, when you think about it, they focus more on Raphael than the other turtles, don't they? I mean, he's got more of the story.
Yeah, exactly. It's really, we get to focus more on him individually. I mean, I feel like Donatello gets the least amount of, kind of face time in the movie.
Oh, definitely, which is quite odd to me since they've got Corey Feldman to do his voice. You know, the most probably well-known person out of the four turtles. But the song they play at the end, Turtle Power. If you notice in the lyrics, they refer to Raphael as the leader, and it turns out that they got a copy of the script to write the song for the movie. And because it focused on Raphael for most of the film, they assumed he was the leader, not realizing that Leonardo was actually the leader of the turtles.
I mean, that's what I always thought. Because again, like, I was more into this movie. And if you watch just the movie, you're going to, make that assumption.
Yeah, well, the thing is that you knew that kind of from the cartoon, and there is that you do hear Raphael saying to him in the movie, "Oh, great leader, what will we do next?" And he's like, "I never professed to be a great leader."
Yeah, they're banking on you knowing the intellectual property of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They assume that fans of the cartoon and the comic are going to come see this movie, But like me, it was more like I came, like a lot of things, I come to the film before anything else.
Yeah. But you're younger than me, so
exactly.
I was watching the cartoons and kind of knew the lore at that age when this movie came out. But I mean, even the way Leonardo leads into the sewer at the start, and he's the one that approaches Splinter and says, we fought well and all this. So he's in the fore, and that's a wee bit of the conflict them two actually have. The fact that he is the leader and he's given him, he's his brother, but he's given him direction and he doesn't want to take it. You know what I mean? There's people like that just don't like authority, don't like being told what to do. I'm one of them.
I was gonna say I kind of can relate to that. I've always had a hard time with bosses. That sense.
Yeah, and the thing is, now that I'm older, like when I was younger, I used to think Raphael was a bit of a dick, but now that I'm older, I actually like him the best.
I mean, I think a lot of things change when you become an adult and you can see other things. You also, I don't know if this happens to you, but when you watch movies and you see things getting broken and you just like it for some reason in your mind, even though you know it's a movie and it doesn't matter, you're like, I wonder how much that fucking cost them. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is that even though I always thought he was a dick, even when he was getting beat on the top of the top of the building, you did care for him, but you did fear for him.
Yeah, did.
Yeah.
That's the way they lay it out.
Yeah. So Shredder instructs them to drop their weapons or Leo dies. They reluctantly do so. And Nunchuck thrown hangs on the roof ladder. And Shredder says, "Fools, the three of you might have overpowered me with the loss of one. But now your fate will be his." So Splinter appears. He just appears. Well, obviously he's come up the ladder. Distracts Shredder for a split second so Leo can roll away. And then we have this final Splinter dialogue. He's got the best dialogue in this movie, to be honest, apart from the one-liners. Back and forward with Shredder, where Splinter says, "Yes, Arukusaki, I know who you are. We met many years ago in the home of my master, Hamato Yoshi." So he removes his mask, revealing the scars underneath his face. Underneath the mask. And Raph says it's him. So they know the story. And Shredder says, now I will finish what I began with your ear. And he runs at him with a spear, but Splinter throws the nunchuck round and I don't know how he does that, but he spins him around and hangs him over the edge of the building. And Splinter says to him, "Death comes for us all, Arukusaki, but something much worse comes for you. For when you die, it will be." He takes the knife out to throw it at Splinter, and Splinter grabs the knife, which releases the spear, and he falls.
Without honor.
And Casey Jones comes over and pulls the lever on the garbage truck and says, "Oops."
That's great.
Oops. And he's crushing Shredder. John, is that not murder?
That is 100% murder. That's definitely murder. And although turns out if you watch the sequel, he's not dead. Somehow he's got a couple scratches. But Jesus Christ, though, he's dead. Like there's no way he's not dead. Like
I always remember the start of that movie because, as I seen it in the cinema when it first came out. At the start, like he makes his helmet or something. He fixes his helmet so there's more spikes in it or something, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's an asshole. I don't get it. Even like in this movie though, like when he removes his mask and he's got those like little scars, it's like it's really not that bad that you needed to make this whole mask.
Yeah, true. Well, it's all about the look, isn't it? It's all about the intimidation and all. But I was going to say that whole speed that Splinter says there, I never seen that for years because, as I say in the version I seen, when he's running at him with a spear, he just flips him over and he just falls into the back of the
so it's
the garbage truck.
It was much quicker for you then, huh?
It was much faster, which also reminds me too, John. Just while we're talking about that, is that have you ever seen like alternative cuts of Batman?
The 89? No, I've never seen it.
Well, there's an alternative cut. I don't know if it's in Europe somewhere or it might have been in South America, where when the Joker says you wouldn't hit a guy with glasses and Batman punches him, it cuts to the Joker falling off the cathedral.
They don't show the whole fight?
Nope, the whole finale's gone. So he punches him over the edge and he just falls. But that scene where he's falling,
that's a sin.
That's it. That's the end of the movie. And it's kind of the same with this, where he just kind of like goes with that spear and just flings him over. He just falls straight in the garbage truck. That's what I was thinking. I was like, whoa, that was quick. That was pretty cool. But then when I watched this, Splinter's got a whole speech prepared.
Yeah, he's got to lay the whole thing out for him. It's crazy that just to not show the nunchucks, they wouldn't show the speech. I don't know. It's so weird.
It's so weird. For years, I thought I was going crazy when I seen the new version. I was like, I don't remember. Or the original version, I was going, I don't remember it like that. But Casey gives them the thumbs up after he goes, oops. And on the roof, the turtles embrace Splinter. And he's like, kids. So he's got a lot of energy back now. on the ground, the police arrive, as does Charles with his news crew. So he's basically filling in for April. April, how many people work there? Just him and the news crew.
It's a very small operation, and I'm never gonna get to say this again because I don't know how many movies we'll do around this 1990s time. But I love those white and blue NYPD police cars and the uniforms they wear with the blue tops.
Yeah. Well, this is really funny. This is the second movie in a row this year we've done of 1990.
Yeah, that's true.
Because so was Misery.
Yeah, we always kind of seem to end up in these like little patterns, like we did with January with James Caan. We don't even realize it when it happens.
I know. So Danny sees his dad on his way, but on his way he stops and gives April money, and he tells her, "It's something I owe you. Trust me." She seems confused. She doesn't realize that the money was stolen out of her purse because she's that rich, because she's just the best reporter in New York. But it was $10.
I know. Well, and honestly, in 2026, $10 ain't gonna make much of a difference like it did back in 1990.
Yeah, how much would you say $10 is now? But
30,
50, 30. About not 15. I was going to say 25, 30. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say about $30. So you might notice $30 missing, but maybe not 10. Like maybe you'd be like, "Fuck, did I drop it?" Like you wouldn't think, like you wouldn't go all out like searching everywhere for it.
Yeah, it'd be better if she like blamed one of the turtles and then threw them all out of her apartment.
God damn it! I knew it. Rap's a thief.
One of you amphibian bastards stole $10 out of my purse. Who was it? Was
if
it
you wanted pizza that bad? I would have bought it.
Was it you, Michelangelo? Was it you, Ralph? Yep, amphibian gits. Yeah. Anyway, so Danny runs to his dad. I love this scene, John. They hug, and I like his acting in this scene. The dad's acting. He's like,
yeah, he does a good job.
Yeah, he's like, where have you been? I've had the whole city looking for you. Are you all right? Are you okay? But the whole city didn't look too far. And he tells him he's okay, and it's just Dan now. And he's like, damn. And the hug. So we're just wrapping everything up now, John. Everything's just all the wee loose ends are all being tied up here just at this finale. But I do like movies that just wrap things up.
This used to be a thing in the 80s and 90s that they used to do. Like they didn't have like an epilogue or anything. Like the movie just ends. Like it was a thing. And it was fine.
Yeah, it just ends, but it ends in the same. Well, this could be more for budgetary reasons, but it ends in it ends in the same scene. Whereas you say usually epilogue, they come back and they show this and they show that and they do. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, the movie's over. We don't need this. Let's just wrap it up. Just wrap it up. And so the police chief Stearns is arresting the Foot Clan, and Charles is begging April to come back and cover the story. He offers her an office, and she suggests the office. He says you can have the office, and she also suggests about another field reporter who's the highest earner in New York City, and he says, well, you are now. So yeah, that's how he gets her back. In the meantime, Sam Rockwell tells Stearns to check out the East Warehouse over at Lardman Island. Do you get that reference?
The East Warehouse over on Lardman Island.
Lardman Island.
I didn't get it.
The name of the creators of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles who created the comics is Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird.
Oh, that's nice.
East Warehouse, Lardman Island.
Okay, that's nice. Nice little shout out to the people who made it. Kind of like Bob Kane and Batman '89. Yeah,
and he says you'll get your answers there. So Casey creeps up on April and he says hi, and Casey she says hi, and Casey says, I like this line too, another cultural reference for the time. I look like I just called Mike Tyson a sissy, and all you can say is hi. Which is funny because by the time this movie came out, Mike Tyson had just been beat by Buster Douglas.
I know, but maybe when they were filming, it hadn't happened yet.
It hadn't happened. Yeah, he was like almost invincible. So April says, "You don't." She's like, "What?" Because he's became a wee bit kind of soppy. He's let his guard down, and she's like, "You don't need an ambulance, do you?" And he's like, he remembers himself, and he's like, "No, I'm fine, no." And she says, "Well, just shut up and kiss me. I've got a report to do." So she's got a professional reporter head on, this ambitious reporter, and he's like, I like it when you're pushy.
Mhm.
So the turtles are watching from the rooftop, and they cheer and celebrate. He's giving the thumbs up. He's got the girl. The way movies should end.
Exactly. A
The
nice little
hero gets
happy
the girl.
ending.
Yeah,
Yep.
happy ending. Yeah. And Leo says, "We were awesome." And Maggie says, "Bodacious." And Donnie's like, he just keeps thinking. And then Maggie goes, "Gnarly." And Leo's like, "Radical." And Maggie's like, "Wicked." And Splinter says, "I have always liked Cowabunga." And they all get high five and go, "Cowabunga." And Splinter says, "I made a funny." And then Turtle Power starts. And I really like that song, Turtle Power. I have to
Turpau's
say.
classic, yeah.
Yeah, it's just a real kind of like late 80s, early 90s hip hop type of track, New York type of track that I
Perfect for
really
this movie.
enjoy. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
perfect,
and
perfect.
that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I also like the cartoon theme tune as well. Heroes in a half shell, turtle power.
Turtle power. Oh, it was classic. And then you had Turtles in Time. Great stuff.
Yeah. So the movie made 202 million at the box office, John.
Jesus Christ, on that low of a budget. They used to know how to budget films and make their money back.
Well, I don't think anybody thought it would make that amount of money, but it was a sensation. And my final thoughts basically in the movie are just, off the heels of Tim Burton's Batman, New Line Cinema brought us Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the movie. With its dark edge and gritty tone, coupled with comedy, they made a fun and entertaining comic book adaptation that captured the imagination of children around the world. The story is serviceable, performances are solid, especially from Judith Hoag and Elias Koteas. And the great puppetry work by the legendary Jim Henson is enough to hold your interest for the 90-minute runtime.
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible to follow up what you said because you got a beautifully written out statement that perfectly describes what this movie is. It's a product of the time. That's something that still feels timeless to this very day. There'll never be another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie like this. They couldn't follow it up with a movie that even felt similar to this, that even, this very much is in line more with movies like The Mask, the Mortal Kombat films, and, Batman 89, Dick Tracy, and not like any other Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. That's why it's still my favorite of any of them.
I totally agree, John, that this is my favorite. This for me is like could you call it a modern classic? I mean, it's not going to be up there with, The Godfather or anything like that.
No, but it's very much, it's important still. It's still something that people would consider their favorite films, or at least their favorite childhood films.
Yeah, in terms of like, say, comic book movies from that era, it's one of my favorites. In terms of comic book movies, it is one of my favorites. And I think, as I say, if you want to talk about Batman, or you know what I mean, or The Mask, or any of those type of movies from that time, you have to mention Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the first one, the original. It's such a great movie, and it's a great movie to introduce your kids to as well. I think kids today would still love this movie, so they will.
Yep, and the proof of that is your daughter herself is a fan of this movie.
She is. We haven't watched it in a while, but she liked it. When we haven't watched it in a few years, actually. You know what I mean? That's why I bought the Blu-ray to watch it, and we never opened it. And now the 4K came out.
I'm proof it comes back around, man, because I told you I took probably 20, at least minimum 25 years off the movie and came back, and I was like, no, this movie's still great.
Yeah, it's still great. Like you said, it's a product of its time. You can see where the weaknesses and the flaws are due to budgetary reasons. Not so much the animatronics. I know they look fake, but for the time, they look pretty good.
But how many times have we discussed here? How many perfect films are there out there? Doesn't mean they're not great. It's just how many films. Like, nothing is perfect. I mean, human beings themselves aren't perfect. I mean, you and I come close. But most people, we're still not perfect.
Yeah, we're close. And there's nothing wrong. Like the Turtles, there's nothing wrong with being bald either.
No, but but unfortunately, old Mr. Pennington there, he needs to let his hair go and take a page out of your book and just shave it, man. Or wear a hat like I do if it's thin.
Start shave it off and start wearing a bandana.
Hey, that works too.
Yeah, that's it.
But yeah, I think we covered TMNT here today, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990. As always, we want to remind you guys that this is on its own YouTube channel now. Let's Talk Movies podcast with John and David. So make sure you subscribe here. It really helps us. Turn notifications on. That really helps us as well. You know, tell your friends about us, share this video, anything you can do to help us out. We hope you enjoyed it. We have other shows on the channel, including Axis Cinema Appreciation. We recently did an episode on Friday the 13th, the entire franchise. We're going to be moving our live shows over from Let's Talk Entertainment Media's YouTube channel over to here as well. Say subscribe for that. And David, do you want to tell the good people what we'll be doing next on the channel?
Yep. Next on Let's Talk Movie podcast.
Yeah, we could tell them both that and Axis. I think we talked about Axis at the beginning of this episode, so but let them know again.
Yeah, we talked about Axis on the end of our one of our other episodes. I'm getting confused now, but yes. So basically, we'll be leaving New York City, and we will be traveling to what do you call the island?
What do you call that island?
Well, we'll be traveling to Jurassic Park.
Another reptile, though.
Yeah, more reptilians. Yeah, more green things. You call I can't even think of the name of the island at the minute. But yes, that's what we'll be doing next. Steven Spielberg's 1993 classic Jurassic Park. And we will be back in Axis, where we will be discussing Manhunter and Silence of the Lambs.
Yep. So if you guys want to follow along with us, make sure you catch up on those films. All of them are favorites of mine. I know that they're all favorites of yours as well. So this is going to be pretty fun. So make sure you guys, again, are subscribed, and we'll be seeing you around.